Hello, theme park fans, and welcome to episode 75 of the E-Ticket Report. My name is Chris Wakefield, and I am joined tonight by my co-host, Ryan Barr.
How's it going?
We're off to a good start.
Do you want to do that again?
No, we're going to roll it. Jalen Harvey.
Hey, y'all, what's good?
And Tommy Hawkins.
Hello. You know, it's been so long since we last recorded. Like, Tron's open, right? Tron's ready.
No, still.
What?
Maybe by episode 100 we'll get there, but I'm not.
The train whistle works. That's back.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, wow. They got the train whistle working.
This week, we're going to get into a year in review, 2021 year in review. This seems like a year where a lot of things happened, but not that much happened. And that may seem like a weird statement, but as the show unfolds, you'll find out why I say that. So to do this and to do this properly, we're going to bring back an old treat we call the 9 News Nuggets You Need to Know. And I'm building in some pauses here, Tommy. So just give me the audio raw like it is, and then I'll put things in where they go. All right.
It's going to be like Parks and Rec when there's, thingy in the douche where it's just like the most disgusting sound effects.
Thingy in the douche?
Have you not seen Parks and Rec? Was it?
I've never seen Parks and Rec.
Oh, my God.
You're missing out.
How can you live in Indiana and not see it?
Yeah. All right.
Too much on the nose for you, I reckon.
Yeah, exactly. Our first news story, we're going to go to an honorable mention. We have the biggest stories from theme parks and themed entertainment this year, and we want to sneak in one more in there, an honorable mention, and that is fitting. Epic Universe started construction again. After stopping in 2020 briefly, Universal Orlando is starting up construction again on Epic Universe. Tommy, give me your thoughts on this, because you and Bio and Alicia Stella have provided a lot of information about this park and some of the changes it's gone through in 2021.
Well, I'm just going to set the tone for thoughts on this. So the other things that we're probably going to be talking about today will get, but it was a pandemic. Yeah, but it was a pandemic was excuses that people are throwing out. Like, we can't really sort of underestimate what a big deal this is. Halfway through a pandemic, Universal committed to spending maybe $3 billion on a brand new park and all the infrastructure that goes with it, when they'd only just got back in the black. But they'd already pretty much decided several months before that they were announcing in their earnings call how they're back in the black, that they're going to put this park back on. So this is massive news, because I know some people, I won't mention their names, sounds like Chris, was like, oh, it will be another 10 years before we see that park.
I never said that.
I think you might have done, actually. We'll check. I do keep receipts, but I don't think I can.
I never said that. You've invented this thing in your head. Never said that. I'm excited for Epic Universe to an extent.
Okay, listeners, feel free to do your research and find Chris either saying that or that I'm a total liar. But one of us.
I'm
is
safe
lying.
there because no one listens to the show, so we should. I should be
all
clear.
All 5 of you, can you listen and write in, please? But yeah, no. Seriously, that was at one point when we was in full neurosis of, I'm talking around the time that they were cancelling Horror Nights and stuff like that last year. Everyone's like, it's not getting built. It's never happening. It's never going to happen. There's going to be no theme park. Everything will shut, blah, blah, blah. And look where we are. Like,
I think
it's a big deal.
I think it's big because we haven't seen a new gate in Orlando since Animal Kingdom, right?
Which
no, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. You forgot about Fun Spot America, son.
Oh,
Fun
gosh.
Spot America opened up. And Dieselland. I think Dieselland is a thing now, too.
COVID Spot America, yeah?
Yeah, Fun Spot America. They opened up.
Let's be honest, though. Orlando basically is the theme park capital of the world. That's why so many of the vendors choose to put their HQs and stuff there. Like, it's a big deal. And to go all of that amount of time, what was Dak, 1998? That is a long time to go without a new park, isn't it?
Well, hold on. We're missing
It was-
Islands of Adventure.
Yeah, IOA was what, 01?
What?
Islands of Adventure is 1990. It's 2000, 2001.
All right,
Okay.
yeah. So, but we're still, and all told, by the time they get this open, which I believe they will probably shoot for the anniversary, which is 35 years on the
4 or 5 more, 24, 25?
No, since studios opened, by the time they open, say they open, which I think probably most likely June 2025, that will be the 35th anniversary of studios. So that's a long old time to go between 2001 and 2025. That's that's basically your age, isn't it, Jay?
Well, shit. I'll be as old as IOA. I mean, no, actually. Oh God, will I be 30? Oh dear God. Oh my God. Don't. I might be 29, 30. Let's not talk about that. But yeah, no.
I'm just saying it's a 24-year gap. You've gone from baby to full-grown man-child. I mean, man. And they haven't built a new park. So
Jalen was born on Cat in the Hat on opening day. That was where he
Really?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh
that's
my
one of
God.
them stories that disappeared into the.
Back when it would still spin. Back when the ride still spun.
Yeah.
Well, if that was the case, I wouldn't have been born. That's a good form of contraceptive. I feel like it would just be spewing everywhere, like a milkshake with the lid off.
Oh, God. Now we have that visual.
Yeah.
Ryan, what land at Epic Universe are you looking forward to most?
Well, probably Nintendo, of course, but I'm just excited to see all the different changes overall, and see how many differences there are between, the first concept we saw and now.
I love that we can see each other now. This is great.
Well, you can't see Ryan blanking you on purpose.
No, not.
Like he's literally, you're asking him a question, and you just see him go 1, 2, 3. He knows what he's doing.
Everyone needs a gimmick, I guess.
But do you think there will be major changes? Because I think people have kind of been a little bit unrealistic with what I think they believe that it's like, because they've paused it, that means it's a blank canvas, and everything that was there before is pretty much gone except Nintendo and fresh new start. When I think probably what we're more likely to see realistically is we're not going to see everything that we first saw from day one, because they need to kind of sort of adjust the supply and demand, if you like. Because if they opened Epic with everything that has been listed on day one, everyone's going to jump ship from the other two parks and just spend all their time in Epic. Whereas if they
I don't really know about that.
I don't think so. I don't think it would cannibalize that much. I think more of the case is at least from what we've been hearing from Alicia at Parkstop, is that they were not too confident in some of those earlier IPs they were going to put in there. Dumbledore.
Dragons.
What's it called? The Dumbledore.
Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
No,
they had a year to go. Oh, wait a second. Maybe it's not.
But that's a misconception anyway, because I think too much has been put on. Oh, it was going to be Fantastic Beasts. And if you speak to Alicia, she'll say, "Oh, maybe I was wrong with that. Maybe it was one possibility, and then everyone's jumped onto that." I think I think if you ask someone that's working on the project now in 5 years' time, was it always going to be Fantastic Beasts? They'll say, well, not really. It was always going to be Ministry of Magic. It's just the few little tweaks that we've made since don't really make that much difference. I think there's too much emphasis being put on certain things that have since actually been corrected by Alicia, and people just haven't seen the corrections.
I would think that with Fantastic Beasts at one point that was definitely considered. I mean, it was the new era of Potter, but kind of just like the Star Wars prequels, it doesn't have that good of a reception, and people don't really care too much about it. Plus the whole Johnny Depp thing. So I gotta agree with you. Like, I feel like maybe that was on the table, but I think definitely now, I don't really think anybody cares. Like, no, you don't really hear about Fantastic Beasts blowing up. I remember when the first movie dropped, people flocked to it. But it was the same way people flocked to Phantom Menace because they're like, oh, it's a new Harry Potter movie for the first time in how long? And it's going to open up and it's going to show us the before times and yada, yada. So, yeah,
I would
gotta
say
agree
for
with
me,
y'all.
I would say for me, actually, forget whether it's Fantastic Beasts or whatever. The way she's going and what way she continues to double down and just be an awful person and be an awful human being is whether the actual, like, at what point does what she keeps saying repeatedly and doesn't even try and give an inch for, at what point does she start harming the franchise? And at what point does that become a liability to a theme park?
Her
That's
being
a
J.K.
whole nother
Rowling.
discussion.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't think it's evergreen. I think that shit's not going to stick to this just because of how strong that fan base is.
True.
I feel like, yes, there are people who others would call woke and whatnot who are just kind of turning a blind eye to what she's saying and doing. Like, okay, well, we can separate that from your books and the movies and stuff. So for whatever reason, I'm not judging, people are able to compartmentalize the content from the content creator.
Yeah.
And that hasn't been the
definitely
case
see
with
that.
everyone else. When other times when someone is quote unquote canceled, they practically burn their books in the street. That's not happening here with Potter because people who grew up with this, who are now of age, are so strongly connected to that, are able to say, like, you know what? Like, if my favorite artist, Dave Matthews, came out tomorrow as a Nazi, I'd be like, oh, that sucks. But I'm still going to listen to this
God,
album.
of course you would like the Dave Matthews Band.
Of course I would. Yeah. Why wouldn't I?
Oh my God. Anyway,
But people are able to separate. When it's convenient for them, they're able to separate the content from the content creator. And in other cases, they're able to cancel the person and throw their albums out and burn their Nikes and,
I'm just wondering, yo, is Dragon still there? Because I feel like that's the one land that's
Absolutely.
kind of like the kid. Like,
Kids.
did y'all see the trailer for that new series that they it looks plastic. It just looks like it's the worst animation DreamWorks has done since Over the Hedge. And
But I think the biggest
What's
feedback
that?
they
It's a
get.
made for streaming show. I don't think you can really
Yeah.
use that as a metric for.
I mean,
success of a-
Jurassic
Well,
looks good. Camp Cretaceous looks hot.
I think that's the thing is that, like I said this on Twitter, I think the executives went to them and said, hey, we need a show just like Camp Cretaceous, and that's what they spit out.
Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird series. I don't really even mess with dragons like that. I just feel like that is I don't know if that's the best one that you go with. If you want to go for kids, I feel like Trolls might be better. That's my whole thing. Maybe Trolls might be better. Or
Look,
like a
I think you've
DreamWorks
got- I think
hodgepodge land.
let's forget whether you think that's a good franchise or not. Let's boil it down to sort of theme park fundamentals. It's Vikings, it's dragons, it's that kind of
Yeah,
general
you got a
vibe.
point.
It's not going to matter. Yes, it will get some people through the door because I remember seeing that film when I was a kid or whatever. Like, it will get people through the door. Like, as I always say, like Forbidden Journey, like I had a passing almost indifference to the whole Potter franchise, and then there was enough to go, oh well, I'll check this out, and then UC are so good at their job. I was like, no, that's great. Like, you don't have to know all the canon and all the backstory and all the rest of it. If we all like theme parks, right? And we will, whether you're a Disney or a Universal or whether you're like theme park, like a lot of us are, like, both of those companies do their job really well. So you've got to kind of give them a bit of a benefit of that and go, you know what? Doesn't really matter what my thoughts are on the franchise or whether it's tired or whatever. That fucking Disney is still dining out on like IP that wasn't even theirs, that was like years old when Disney brought it out in the 50s. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it's just enough to get people through the door. And
I think
need.
dragons will be a needed thing besides Mario in this park, because one of the biggest complaints Universal still gets from casual fans is there's not enough for little kids. And I think
That's true.
I think this for Universal will be big, considering 5 years ago they were leaning on like Hop as their biggest kids IP.
Oh, dear God.
Remember those days?
Oh dear God, that took me back. Good Lord.
Universal's at they have
What the
an
hell was
embarrassment
that?
of riches right now compared to what it was 5-10 years ago when they were
And you
trying
know,
to pop.
Oh
and
my God.
and obviously whether again, regardless of your thoughts on like the cartoon stuff or the general franchise, it did made like $1.5 billion between the three
Yeah.
films. It made a lot of money, and they also Universal actually signed up that guy who created it to do more stuff. So what comes out in the next 3 to 4 or 5 years could be another franchise that they could sort of piggyback into that area or whatever. But
And that more than anything, they've already they've tapped out Minions a bunch of the last 10, 15
That's
years.
true.
Dragons lends itself the most to kind of that Camp Cretaceous model of TV show. Now we have the toy shelves. Half of the toy shelves for dinosaur stuff this year for Christmas was Camp Cretaceous. And now it's going to be in the live show and the touring exhibition. So they're trying to replicate that. And this Dragons, I don't like it. It doesn't connect with me. My kid doesn't like it. But I can tell you, if it does hit like Camp Cretaceous did, it'll be a huge, they found money with Camp Cretaceous. That thing was a hit out the gate.
Yeah.
I
But
was
the other
surprised.
thing I would say to you also is, again, going back to what I was saying before about whether we will get sort of piecemeal, is that everyone's talked about the Dragon, the theatre show. If that does get the chop, which is a strong possibility, because the theatre that they planned, or what they planned, I guess, only holds about 740, and if that's an hourly show, that's a
Jesus.
shockingly low throughput. When the space actually could be a really decent e-ticket or a couple of D tickets. They can, if they do some of the lands a bit more piecemeal, they can sort of test the water and go, right, what do we need? Like, what's working for this land? Is it another couple of kiddie rides? Is it this? Is it that? Do we need an e-ticket? And they can kind of spread out the rollout over a couple of years and just see where it goes, sort of thing. But on paper, as at the moment, that is actually the most complete land that we know about.
And the way this happens is, for those of you who don't know, is that a theme park company will concept out a theme park with all these great e-tickets and flat rides and shows and restaurants and this and that. As the project goes along, they begin to say, oh, well, that's phase 2. And that restaurant, that's phase 2. And that e-ticket, oh, that's phase 2. And it gets slowly chopped away. So what we don't know right now is how much of the original concept is being put into quote-unquote phase 2. Because as we saw with Animal Kingdom, a lot of phase 2 never happens.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the other thing is, for example, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because they could well just end up putting something better in, is that initially it was going to be the Ministry of Magic ride and the Broomstick VR thing. Now, it looks highly likely that the Broomstick ride is going where Fear Factor Live is now, i.e. in studios. So that's going to leave like a 4 or 5 acre plot just sitting there. And actually, there was a spot of land behind that ride that was going to sit there for potential things. So actually, by not building that, they've potentially left a much, much bigger space for a bigger, more, suitable ride for that area. Or if they wanted to, they could just stick another land in there. They've got lots of the good thing about having all these wedges of expansion pads and everything is that, they can stick their finger up in the air, see which way the wind's blowing and go, okay, right, we need this kind of ride in this kind of land or whatever it may be. So that's the good thing about having all them wedges. And if you think about it, if you follow like the more so the progress of Islands of Adventure, we have actually over the years ended up with great rides in the expansion pads. Like over the years, like we wouldn't Forbidden Journey was an expansion pad. It was before that was just sitting there. It was just green open space doing nothing. So it doesn't hurt to not have a fully fleshed out park from day one. It really doesn't.
Right. Okay, we have now spent 20 minutes talking about Universal Orlando, which is a record for the show. And I'm sure Tim Grassi is rolling in his grave. So we will move on to story number 9. Story number 9 on the 9 News Nuggets. You need to know our 2021 year in review is everything Marvel. From Avengers Campus to Loki to Shang-Chi to Spider-Man to all these great Disney Plus shows we got. WandaVision, Captain America,
Falcon.
Winter Soldier, Falcon. Yeah, just ridiculous. Hawkeye. Ryan, give me your thoughts on what Marvel was able to pull off this year.
1, 2, 3.
Maybe too much. Hold on, wait.
You think it
for
was too much for 1 year?
Maybe. I haven't even finished Hawkeye yet. Is Hawkeye all done?
Oh.
Like, is everything out?
Yeah, it ended last
Yep.
week. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. But
Did you have a highlight
it's
from
hard to
this
keep
year,
up
like
with at this
of
point.
your favorite?
If they didn't, I was just gonna say, if they didn't postpone a couple dates, they would have had like 5 movies coming out in the next year and a half. On top of everything that came out this year. So, and there's a bunch of other series coming that are already done filming as well. So they have a lot on the way, and it's
It just amazes me.
just kind of making
like
sense.
hell, Black Widow too. Yeah, it amazes me. If you would have told me 5 years ago you're going to sit down and watch a Hawkeye series, I'm like, and I'm not watching Hawkeye. I don't care about Hawkeye or even Black. No, I'm not watching those. They managed to pull it off every single time, and they keep expanding the universe. It's good. It's quality. It's filler. Like, it's not like we're not rewriting Shakespeare here, but it's really good stuff every single time.
What I gotta also say. Can we talk about Spider-Man? Oh, no, we can't talk about Spider-Man because Tommy ain't seen it yet.
Oh, Tommy's. Oh, come on, Tommy. God damn it. He turns back into a spider at the end. That's how it ends. He turns back into a spider.
That would actually be pretty fucking choice. I would think that would be such a... That would be No Way Home done by M. Night Shyamalan. Like, that would... Like, he can't make his way back home because he's a spider now. And and he has to go all the way back on like some Honey, I Shrunk the Kids adventure to get back
He got
home.
washed down the drain in the bathtub.
Yeah, oh my God, he got itsy bitsy spidered. It wasn't just a little cute nursery rhyme. No, it was a warning. It was a fable.
What's really cool is that Disney took components from the shows like Loki mainly and put them into the newly built Avengers campus at Disney's California Adventure.
Why did you say that like a Disney fucking executive? You said the full thing. You said the full thing. Like Disney's California Adventure.
Do you want me to hand you your real lightsaber now so you can... Josh over there.
It comes from people. It comes from writing articles about Disney, and I always have to delineate for the casual fans who think that the Star Wars park or the Avengers theme park is in Orlando. So it's force of habit.
I guess no. I think it works out. It kind of seems like Avengers Campus is like. Well, I wouldn't say Avengers Campus sponsored by Disney Plus. Like, that's kind of what it kind of feels like. And I think that's great because it's a great rollout and it just works. I know most of the time it's probably the movie studio paying for it, but that is just great. That's delicious synergy. And that's something that I do like about Avengers Campus. It's built around, into meet and greets. And we could never have that here because people would break everybody's legs. There would be no personal space.
What
are your cats still fighting? Are your cats still fighting back there?
You can hear that. She's in the litter box. I'm surprised you can hear that.
What I was going to say was to sort of, you just spent 5 minutes basically talking about the Marvel stuff that isn't necessarily pure Avengers. I know obviously you've said Hawkeye and Black Widow, but the point is they're doing a very, very good job of segueing away from Avengers per se, right? And I kind of feel actually like Avengers Campus out there is kind of the test bed of going, okay, well, what could work in a park that is not part of the Avengers Mississippi Marvel deal? Because I think, and I've kind of been saying this for a while, is that I think what people realize is, 5 years ago is when they should have renegotiated on a Marvel deal to have stuff built for if they really wanted Orlando, Marvel, Avengers, blah, blah, blah. But I think actually they are probably playing that long game a little bit more where, they're introducing all this new stuff, all this stuff that sits outside of what we had for the past 10 years or whatever it is for Avengers, that they can eventually, they can have, they've got a shelf full of ideas that they can go, all right, let's build, one suggestion I had was for Animal Kingdom, like they could basically build Tolar if they wanted to. They could essentially reboot the Beastly Kingdom idea with stuff from Shang-Chi, and they wouldn't even necessarily, if there was some problem with the contract stuff, they wouldn't even need to feature that character. They built such a brilliant world within the films and the TV shows that they could just dip in and out. So I think that's pretty clever of them. I think that's pretty smart that they haven't just gone, oh, we can't build Avengers, let's just not build anything. They're doing a pretty good job of handing over away from that phase.
I think that's actually true. I mean, if you look at something like Millennium Falcon, like the Falcon isn't run by like a major character. Like it's run by like a I wouldn't even say secondary character, a tritary character of Hondo Ohnaka. Like he was only in the television series, and you have him running that. And then you just have, for the most part, Finn is there, but Rey, you only see her one time when it comes to Rise, and you see Finn 2-3 times. I mean, he basically is your host, but for the most part, like the physical people that you see, you never know. You don't really know them. Like you don't really have to, you just have to feel like you're there. I think you're right. If they want to try to pull away from it, they've been designing characters. I saw this like 10 years ago with them coming up with new legacy characters that are tied to the original characters, but aren't exactly like the original characters at all, or have no feature at all.
Do you think perhaps maybe Galaxy's Edge was 2 or 3 years too early? Like I'm not. Like we can go do the back and forth of it's a generic land, blah blah blah, and all the rest of it. But do you think if they'd put out Mando, if they put out Obi-Wan, if they put out Boba Fett and all that, and then in the next couple of years built a land that could be adaptable to most of that, do you think that was where they went wrong, or is it just the whole concept?
I think, well, not to stray too far away from Avengers Campus, I think the reason why those meet and greets in Avengers Campus work so well is because it is at the world's largest regional theme park. I don't think it would work the same out if they were allowed to do it in Orlando. Keep in mind, people come to Disneyland in California, which is why it differentiates so well, are locals. It's a regional theme park, and that's why that different character every week worked so well out there. I'm not sure it would work so well in Orlando. And the same thing might be the case for if they did it in Galaxy's Edge, possibly.
I don't know. Because unless there's some kind of money tied to it, because that's the whole thing that saved Epcot. If it wasn't for those damn festivals, Lord knows if that would have worked. So if you kept doing, I mean, Star Wars Weekends was like that as well, where you feature new characters and bring back people every week who are mostly locals. Mostly locals went to Star Wars Weekends. I mean,
there's a reason why the festivals are now 6 months long, because they want to bring in the not locals. A local can be there if it's
they got a new Disney Plus series every week. They got a new they get a new character pop up every week. It hasn't gotten stale over there. So I think as long as, and right now it seems like they aren't going to stop anytime soon. And if you saw Spider-Man, they're not even playing fair going forward. They're looking back as well. So you're going to get new things. But Avengers Campus is going to grow in terms of character interaction. Now, if that Quinjet ride going to show up, I don't know. Don't ask me. That's not in my crystal ball. Yeah, I do know they're going to keep characters coming.
Let's talk about what is there. They built the Spider-Man Web Slingers attraction. None of us have ridden it, but we've seen the videos, obviously, and seen the concepts and the reviews of it. How do you feel about going forward, Disney building lands without a main e-ticket and kind of a C or D ticket, and basically the land being focused around or built around meet and greets and merchandise opportunities?
Trash. Sorry, that came out a little rougher than I wanted it to, but I guess trash. No, don't just have this building sitting here for years with a promise, with an empty promise. Like, I want to buy stuff, but people mainly want to ride. If Universal can open up Nintendo Land with all of their stuff, except for Donkey Kong, or at least, and like the Mario section is a pretty dense area. The Mario section is pretty dense. You got like 2 or 3 shops. You get 2 or 3 eateries. You have 2 rides, including your main e-ticket attraction. Disney, this is the second time Disney has opened up a land half finished. And it just feels, at the end of the day, people are going to be harsher on it because it's not completed. You're not going to see the full picture yet. Like, that's why Avengers Campus was getting ragged on so much and being compared to Marvel Superhero Island. Like, all of Marvel Superhero Island besides Storm opened up. Besides Storm, like if anything, the Quinjet should have opened up first, and then you did Web Slingers. Like it's sad.
It seems to me they're
sad.
just going to like focus group their way out of every situation where they need to make a decision on spending a fair amount of money on a ride. Like, I mean, I get it. Obviously, we sadly lost Chad, and that's why they're kind of going, well, let's just wait and see. But it's like, to me, it also kind of undermines the job of the Imagineers. It's like, well, look, all they've got to say is, look, this is what we want. We want it to be X, Y, and Z. We want people to have a great time. What can you do? I don't know why it has to be. Oh, let's let the second film come out. Let's see how that polls, blah blah blah, whatever, and then maybe we'll think about building right. It's like, by which time they do all that, and then it's like, and then they take 4 or 5 years to build the ride, and then you've just lost all momentum that you ever had.
You lost the heat.
Yeah.
You've lost that heat. But that does seem the way going forward with Disney is either building a land around an already existing ride, like with Toy Story, Midway Mania. Oh, that's our e-ticket. And then we'll build a couple flat rides and a coaster. Or with Avengers Campus, we already have Tower of Terror there. Let's build a land around that. But mainly focusing the new content in that land around meet and greets, which are cheap, easy to build. They don't break down. It's a flat surface with the background, essentially, like Doctor Strange, and merchandise. I think that is the Chapek, Josh Tomorrow way forward for them.
I mean, part of me
engineering it also.
Part of me never wants that play pavilion thing to be built, but the other part of me thinks, well, no, just fucking build it, let it fall on its ass. And then him be like, oh, well, no, that wasn't a good idea. But I don't think it will, because it's Orlando, because, they see 60 million people a year. Like, you could literally fucking take a shit and shine a spotlight on it at Disney, put a bit of fucking fairy dust on it, and people will still go and stand there and look at it. It's not going to be able to, if it's based off of video games, which is what Disney can do now, they want. The land, that pavilion was based off of video games and VR.
It really was. It really was. It's a Wreck-It Ralph pavilion.
We were playing PlayStation 2s at Epcot and Innovations in 2015?
Oh, no, let's go all the way back. That's what Sega World was. People were playing Genesis games, but those were like new Genesis games or games that hadn't come out already.
But Disney kept the PS2s in Epcot until 2015, this isn't current anymore.
And we're we're 2 generations past. I think the only thing... The thing with the Play Pavilion... Oh, go ahead, Tommy.
No, I was going to just say, if you take... Going back to what you were talking about, Smuggler's Run, right? They promised, it's obviously a computer game. You're basically on a motion-based computer game, right? And they promised that there would be 2 or 3 stories. And now they basically, after opening the ride with one basically game story, they're like, oh, well, it's going to be a 5-year delay until you get a new story.
Yeah.
And then how long is it? So if on an established ride that's got a fixed, like Star Tours, they've managed to somehow do a really, really great job over the years of updating it and keeping it fresh and making it fun. But for this computer game thing, do you really think a Play Pavilion? I can just see it being getting really dated, whatever they do, and then it being another 10 years before they update it. And then, the budget's not that great for this, so let's spend a little bit less money.
I can tell you right now what they were going to do. They were going to put in VR, which now seems kind of new and cool. And they were going to put in what's essentially a holodeck, which is the big room you walk in full of screens and you're inside an environment. They have them at Google right now. They were going to put in technology that's kind of new now, but will be outdated in 10 years or 5 years from now.
I was thinking that they were going to, so over in Tokyo Disneyland, they just have a little A ticket. I would say it's an A or B ticket attraction. One of the first ones I've seen new in years. It's like Goofy's, you basically get to paint Goofy's house with the Toy Story Mania cannons. And remember how they were talking about doing that whole water balloon fight? That's what I thought the water balloon fight was going to use, because you can just keep pulling that string. You can have little splash. You can have a little water jet come out. The only reason why I'm cool with the Play Pavilion is it falls on the grenade of having the character of the month. It's just a giant character meet and greet, and it's a playground. It's literally just for the little kids. You put in some Capri Sun, some Go-Go Squeezes, and Bud Light cart, in the thing, and it's basically for parents who need 2 hours to recharge. That's all the Play Pavilion is.
And that's great for like my local kids museum and stuff. When I'm paying $100-something a day to be at Disney, I need them to go harder. I need them to go better, more immersive.
Well, it's like
more cutting edge.
It's like you have been in that show over. Well, of course you've probably been. Wakes. You ever been to the Disney Junior show?
Oh God, yeah.
Like the Disney Junior show is basically like, yo, sit down and chill out. You see all the parents just exhausted, and you let the kids run around and tucker themselves out. Like that's the only purpose that the Play Pavilion serves.
But
to
that
me, I think
works because that Disney Junior show, and I've done it 1,000 times in the last 2 years, because it's tactile, because Mickey is there and you can see him and you can almost touch him, and it's not this, here's a screen, kid, here's a tablet, here's a video game.
But the
Mickey Mouse has come to life. Yeah, exactly.
That's going to be the new character spot. That's going to be the new character spot. You already know. Like that's where all of the
Disney
characters are going
decides
to
to
be.
stop doing meet and greets like they did last year and this year, like, oh, you can stand 10 feet away and wave, that sort of thing. All right, we got to move on. All right, that's story number 9, Avengers Campus, Loki, WandaVision, Hawkeye, Spider-Man, Shang-Chi. Marvel had an excellent year this year. I didn't want the show to pass without us acknowledging that because they could have easily taken their foot off the brakes, and they did not this year. Just to put a pin in your ear for content for next year, Disney apparently is very desperate for content for Disney Plus. They're kind of hit the big red emergency button. They're in some trouble apparently. So if you're a fan of Marvel, you're going to get a lot more of it because they're doubling what they're spending on content for Disney Plus. I imagine a lot of that is going to go right to Marvel.
But they did say like last December that they were by 2024 they would be spending up to like $9 billion a year just on Disney Plus stuff alone.
Just keep up with Apple TV and Netflix and everyone else. You got to spend on that. And Chapek is going to pull any strings he can to keep his head above water because he's drowning right now. All right, let's go to story number 8. New nighttime shows at Walt Disney World, and Kite Tales. So new entertainment offerings at Walt Disney World, from Enchantment to Kite Tales to Harmonious. Ryan, what's your favorite?
I don't really have much of an opinion after only seeing them on YouTube, and I'm not much of a nighttime show person. Let's
Ryan, give us some filler here. Could you imagine Ryan programming Disney Plus? What do you want to watch? I don't know. Just put something on.
Are you on the space station? Only Is that why it's taking so long?
I only watched Pirates 1 through 5 over and over, and then
well, you were a big fan of Illuminations, right?
Kind of. There was a lot of times I went to Epcot and I didn't even stop to watch Illuminations. But
okay.
I would probably
just always thought it was going to be there.
I would probably watch this at least the first like 5 or 6 times I visit up next time I see or go to Epcot.
Jalen, which one do you thought got the best reception of the new shows?
After a while, I think Harmonious definitely ended up winning out of the two, mostly because Enchantment was a rush job. And I want to say, I think the real endearment for a lot of people was just Kite Tales. I think people just think it's cute and stupid. Like, I've finally got to see it in person week of my birthday weekend. And although I would probably not sit down, I do not recommend sitting down to watch Kite Tales, especially in those seats. It's just way too damn hot. But it's
it's uncovered, right? There's no shade.
It seems like so there's only 2 segments. There's Baloo, and then there's also Simba. So you just have those 2. But what really sucks about it is it feels like there was a 3rd act, but they couldn't really find it. Like it's missing the final act or another story that it could have been one giant show. It's not something that's like, it's not like a real daytime show or anything like that, if I can put it that way. It's only 5 minutes long. 5-10 minutes long. Like, you could just stand up over by Everest in the shade, mind you, in the shade. Those are some big ass balloons. You can see them from just in the shade. And the music plays through all out. But I think Kite Tails is probably the winner. I think it just won because of how quirky and stupid it is.
Tommy, did these shows have to be a home run for Disney, or did they just skate by the skin of their teeth?
I mean, people are going to go and see them no matter what. Let's be honest. Like, I'm still on frigging house arrest. Well, I'm not. I could go any day now. But do you know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of people that absolutely cannot wait to get back to the parks and will stand there and love both shows. And I'm pretty sure, I've already decided, I've seen Harmonious twice, on YouTube. I love it already. I know I'm going to love it more in person. And to be honest, I haven't got a problem with Enchantment either. I think people decided that they were going to hate it because it wasn't the other one. But to me, it's much of a muchness. It's all the same stuff. So I'm going to stand there. I'm going to love my fireworks. I'm going to love my Disney tunes. I'm going to love the projection mapping because I'll just be grateful to be there. And I think, to be honest, it doesn't have to be the most perfect show. I don't particularly think that Illuminations was the most perfect show. I found it a bit droll at times. I just loved the big explosions and the fire, to be honest with you. So, let's talk about most people that go to the park. They don't really care as much as us nerds do. They don't. So why should I?
Well, I think the more that ticket price goes up, the more they start to care about stuff that's not a home run, because you start charging someone $180 a day. I'm going to need some home runs in there built in.
Yeah,
I will say
that's the war of attrition in terms of stuff like that they take. I think all them little bits will add up. What I'm saying is, someone's not going to make a vacation going decision based on how much they like one fireworks show. Because if they with both of those shows, if they basically said, we're not going to do fireworks anymore, we're just going to do lights, or we're just going to do this, or I think people would go, well, that's a bit shit, that's one step too far, I want to see fireworks. But it's still going to have all the things, it's still going to have the elements that people love. And I honestly believe that some of the stuff that people have got this emotional attachment to, like, this about Happy Ever After, I think there are other things that people like, that will come through given time. What are you doing?
Yeah, what's going on here, son? Like,
I'm recording my screen. Sorry, hang on a second.
Okay. All right, but
okay.
I'm just saying,
Jalen, you're not even on camera.
Oh no, I can see you. I can still see you, but
He's
see me right now?
He's lurking.
But how I'm going to piggyback off of what Tommy said, and as somebody who's been on the ground, I definitely have seen more people line up to Harmonious than Illuminations, and it's probably not fair because it uses Disney music. Like, it just uses your standard music that people are already used to. I think the day that fireworks, I don't think we're ever going to see a day where fireworks leave Walt Disney World. Maybe Disneyland. I don't know. Disneyland might. I really don't know about that. But you have to have fireworks at Disney Park. I feel like it's even in the stupid movies, like Intro, like you see the fireworks. The day that they like take away those CGI fireworks from the Disney logo opening, that's when you know fireworks are dead.
But they got by for like a year, right? Without nighttime shows. When they first opened up after the pandemic, it was like a year or so before nighttime shows came back. So
the excuse of the pandemic.
I'm shocked they bring them back. They brought them back.
People expect that. Some people didn't even. I know some financial analysts who said that they should just dump the whole parks altogether, just to stop being.
Yeah, they always say that.
Yeah, so I definitely think they're going to bring, because it's the expectation of it, and I think it's one thing to expect trams, because I think we all expect trams, but I think people, if you didn't have trams and fireworks, I don't think that would go over well. You have to at least have.
But they didn't for the longest time. They didn't have trams or fireworks, and people still showed up, and they still loved it. And oh my god, it's my happy place. And
yeah,
how long did it take before we got? How long did it take before we got fireworks back? How long was it? Like 6 months?
It was a while.
Like, I think it was the back half of the year of last year we got fireworks back.
Yeah,
maybe, I don't know, but I know people like the new shows.
What I would say though, and I'll give them a pass when they deserve a pass, and when they don't deserve a pass. We have got to remember, over the past year or so, it was the whole issue of the social distancing, spacing in the parks, and is it safe? Is it practical to have that many people all standing around in a hub at the same time? So I'll give them a pass on that. Yeah. Also, it was advantageous because they saved themselves a fuck ton of money. So
Well,
for
thank
them,
God the pandemic's over and no one's getting
every-
COVID anymore.
yeah, exactly. But do you
No
know what I mean?
records are
Like,
being broken.
they had a reason. What I'm getting at is they had a reasonable excuse to save themselves quite a bit of money. Like, that
Yeah,
was
those
like,
shows
okay, right,
cost upwards of like $100K a night as they used to. Yeah. All right, let's go to our next news story on your 2022 year in review. 9 news nuggets you need to know. Story number 7. 30 years of fear at Universal Orlando's Halloween Horror Nights. Is it me, or maybe because I didn't go this year? I thought they would make a bigger deal out of 30 years of HHN, and the people online and HHN Twitter did, but Universal themselves kind of seemed like they almost not punted this year, but kind of was like, it's just another year. Outside of icons, really.
Do you think it's because the moment had gone, sort of thing? Like, it's
Yeah, I
hard
mean,
to celebrate the 30th year when they kind of did
That's true.
like, they had a year gap, and then they did do some sort of Halloween thing, but it obviously wasn't anywhere near close to what it was. But do you think it's a case of like, the moment's gone, that's it?
Yeah, they lost some of that heat at the mini HHN last year, kind of maybe to siphon off some of that heat. And maybe they didn't want to lean into it too much because COVID, we were in the middle of Delta back in the fall. Remember Delta? So maybe they didn't want to lean into it too much.
The good old days.
Yeah, the good old days of just Delta. So maybe that was it. But it seems like Universal does not do a really big deal with their anniversaries, to me, at least.
Well, last year they did. They made all that merch for. I mean, it was actually pretty hilarious seeing all of that merch whenever they. I think it was like the annual garage sale, and you just saw all this 30th HHN merch they won with years on it. Like it had 2020 on it, so they couldn't just like. Well, they probably could just X'd it out and put a 1.
But that's what I mean. Do you think maybe it was kind of like once bitten, twice shy? They were just like, well, do we really want to put ourselves through that again?
True.
When, like you said, like you just said quite reasonably, Chris, Delta, it could have been a very different story this October. They could have well had to have gone, no, this is too dangerous. We can't do this. Like,
I will
they didn't
say
really know,
though,
did they?
I will say though, in terms of what Chris is saying, once they knew the event was going on, they probably should have amped it up a little bit more. Like I think once you knew that the ball was rolling and you have all these people here, like when it was the week of, now it's time to get loud.
Things like merch and stuff like that, you should they would have had to have put that order in like January, not September.
I'm not talking about like the merch. I mean everything else.
That is one part of a big thing where it kind of that represents the story of where the like you're saying, it doesn't really appear like they really were really bothered. But things like if they had all that merch and stuff like that, but didn't they have an amazing tribute store though?
They had the great, I loved it. I love this. I mean, all their tribute stores have been good this year. Like, goddamn, like even the Jurassic Park one, that wasn't even in the same park. Like it was, the tribute stores clearly are fire. Universal comes off very much like a quasi-local, quasi-international park. I mean, the tribute store to me kind of comes off like an Epcot festival where you keep bringing people down here, and the whole appeal of it is to check out the store, and then hopefully people will buy things.
Oh, we did. We got stuff in the Halloween Horror Nights tribute store. Eric walked away with a couple of sweatshirts. It's another instance of Universal just finding money. Like, here's a space we're not using. Let's do, and someone creative obviously hit a home run with that.
And I bet you next year, just like the Earl the Squirrel type stuff, we're going to see some Little Boo stuff.
Yeah,
we're going to see some Little Boo stuff.
Come on. And again, they're just finding money. They're taking these opportunities and turning them into gold. It's
Ryan,
really...
did you get a chance to go down to it, or didn't you get a chance in the end?
No, I didn't go. It's not the first Horror Nights I've missed in recent years. There was a Horror Nights I didn't go to where I actually worked during it. Like I was a scare actor. I didn't go to any other house except my own.
From what you've heard from other people, etc., like people in the know that it's their thing. How do you think? What's the temperature on it? Do people think it was okay in the end, or was it a bit like where? what was the
I
final
don't really
verdict,
know. I
guess?
know. In my opinion, I think it just, fell flat. I don't know. The feel I got
Now
is
with the
that it wasn't
locals,
that great of a year.
Actually, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, HHN is Coachella for Orlando.
yeah, no,
That
a lot
is
of people
Orlando's
turn up to
Coachella.
those things. Especially, I remember we were just like, oh, well, September is going to be that really busy month. And it's going to deter people from coming to Halloween Horror Nights and like during the month of October because they got it out their system. I'm like, hell no. No. Those frequent fear passes, they stopped selling those. You can only buy those through like going on the phone and going like some kind of backdoor way. It was, and I don't think it fell flat in terms of attendance, mostly because this was the first Halloween Horror Nights, like a full on, not just Halloween Horror Nights light. This was the first one in a year. People were really hyped up for this event. People were doing everything in their power to make sure that they could go to this event after a year of not, after seemingly 2 years. It's people
And
love
that
this
frequent
event.
fear pass is priced just right. It's not too much. And the
Wait.
locals love it because they can go every night and see their friends from Instagram and Twitter and take their Instagram photos of the characters. Like that is, I mean, that pass next year is going to sell out like that. That is a good deal for locals.
I think it did good for me personally as somebody who went like 6 times. I went almost every other week. The houses, there was only one house that I really felt I shouldn't have wasted my time on. That was Scary. Scary was, but everyone else was like, I loved Case Files. Case Files was great. I loved Beetlejuice. I already saw, but I like what Beetlejuice was. Beetlejuice. It was great. But Haunting of Hill House. Haunting of Hill House had some of the best scares I've ever seen. Some of the most creative scares I've seen in a very long time. So I think tons of people. Wicked Growth. Like
you're the first person. You're the first local I've heard in a long time actually talk about the houses. That's why I call it Coachella for Orlando. It's Coachella. It's not about the music. HHN this year, it didn't seem to be about the houses. It was like go and meet people and buy the merch and meet Jack and
drink pumpkin beer. Like that was it.
The houses were secondary.
I'll tell you, most people probably got into the line because they heard Jack was going to be around that area or that line, just to see Jack and not to actually go into the line for the house. Yeah. Like I definitely feel that's the way it was. But I think a lot of the houses that we saw were memeable, or not even so much memeable, but notable to the sense that like people liked it just kept trending. You had the Pumpkin Lord thing, which just lended itself to be a perfect photo online. You had Little Boo, which just became the hero of the entire event. You had Case Files with the whole recreation of Delancey Street and you going into the Kitty Cat Club, which is such a local thing because a regular tourist probably wouldn't have looked on Delancey Street for the actual Kitty Cat Club. And as somebody who's like a nerd for New York City street type of facades, it blew my mind to actually go into the Kitty Cat Club, and it blew several people's mind as well when it just kept, trending. Well, I won't say trending so much like on a Twitter global scale, but in the theme park community, you kept seeing these things over and over and over again. So do I feel like the event was great in terms of the houses? No, I don't think the houses were the stars of this one. I think it was just HHN itself and just physically being there. And the water show this year was kind of, but everything else was, I would give it a B grade when it came to the actual attractions, and A+ in terms of the environment and everything else.
The atmosphere.
With that.
So if it wasn't technically the 30th year or whatever, would it just be, it's just another Horror Nights year? Do you know what I mean? Because that's the vibe that I'm getting off the way you guys are talking about it. Is like if you separate it's the 30th, it should be special away from
compared to HHN 20. And because I went to 20, and that year was big. That year was insane. They made a big deal out of it. I was living in South Florida, and I saw the local ads and stuff. This seemed like a bit of not a dud, but a lot less than what they did with 20.
Low key, very low key. I would say it was a very low key compared to other events.
It was a variant.
But didn't they?
Jesus, dude.
Didn't they lose some of the stuff that they had planned for 2020? Like I'm not into the whole whatever her name is, green hair, whatever her name is, but weren't she going to have a
Beetlejuice?
What? No, the singer that's
Billie Eilish.
Flavor of the wasn't she
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
do a house, and wasn't there going to be other things that like contractually fell through because
I
like,
thought that
snooze
was
or you
over in
lose.
Hollywood. I thought Billie
I know
Eilish
you
was
that
over in
Billie Eilish
Hollywood.
did-
No,
Beetlejuice
I'm
crossover
pretty
house.
sure. Maybe wrong, no, but
Oh, we
I thought
also
they built it. They started
Yeah,
to
she had
build
one
it
for
in
Orlando.
Shrek.
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
also lost, and this one breaks my heart because I was a fan of the series when it was still airing. But we also lost Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the Netflix version. And I thought that was going to be, I mean, they already had a great relationship with Netflix. I figured that was going to happen sooner or later, given how that series just lends itself to horror. It's not your 90s Sabrina. It's not your Archie Comics Sabrina. It's your Riverdale Sabrina. It's just sexy teenagers
Yeah.
and hell. Like, that's it. And they may die sometimes. That's what it is. It's like Riverdale.
Yeah.
So that was the one that, and I think Gremlins was another one I kept hearing about that was rumored to kind of happen, and that would also break my heart if that was something that didn't fall, like if that fell through. But that one I know wasn't confirmed. I know Sabrina and Billie Eilish was the big ones that was supposed to happen.
All right, let's go to our next news story as we continue to recap the year 2021. Number 6. International offerings. This was a big year for theme parks if you did not live in the United States, from Tommy's favorite, apparently, the Cars thing in Disneyland Paris, and bigger offerings at Universal Beijing with their Jurassic World amazing ride, and Mario at Universal Osaka, Japan, right?
Osaka, yeah.
Yes, and then the Super Nintendo World opening there. It was a big year across the pond in theme parks. What was your highlight? Tommy, we know what yours was. It was the Cars thing. We get it.
Allegedly,
You love
it was
cars.
No, I'm just a big fan of people shitting on something that they've got no real concept of, and then it comes out and everyone's like, oh, actually that wasn't too bad. Because it seems to be the trend with Disney stuff is people get super hyped up, super excited for stuff, and then get massively disappointed, or they take a massive dump on something that they've got no idea what it's going to end up being, and then end up liking it anyway, and quietly backpedal from that. So,
But can you blame fans of Disney Studios Paris for being a bit like, we're not getting our hopes up for anything at all, because it was Disney Studios Paris.
well, like,
And it was Cars.
I think they've got less.
Hey,
less
don't do
at
Cars like that.
They've got less at Disneyland Paris now than when I went 7 years ago. So
Oh my
you'd
gosh.
think they'd be grateful of anything.
Really?
And also,
Jesus.
the building work over there is kind of doing a hold my beer with Tron at the moment. Like, who can be the slowest to build anything? They've literally just got a slab of concrete for the Frozen thing, and that's it. And it seems like they're gonna. I tweeted to Alicia earlier on the Galaxy's Edge thing. I think.
The Batu Mini.
We're gonna see the words pivot. We're gonna see them possibly backpedal on Batu and probably go to Tatooine or something like that. And
So for those of you who don't know, at Studios Paris, they're building a mini Marvel land, a mini Frozen land, and a mini Star Wars land. Not full lands, just like little touches of lands.
Think of Polly Pocket. Like, it's a Polly Pocket. It's a Polly Pocket little miniature land.
And to speak to your frustrations, Tommy, when I was there 2.5 years ago, they had already done land clearing for Frozen, because we could see it from the tram tour, and it's now a slab of concrete. So it's moving at a snail's pace.
I'm not even going to lie. It seems like they're kind of building like a Happy Meal toy version of each.
Yeah.
Like, the only one seems to be like Avengers Campus that looks like it's relatively a good size. But the Batu Mini was literally just, it might be Docking Bay 7 and Falcon. Like, it's just that one little thing that you see in like the concept art.
It's going to be it's Rise. It's the Rise show building.
Oh yeah, no, you're right.
And a few other things, but they've got plenty of room down there. They have got room to put more. It's just they decided to like go with 3 little things, but then they're doing the usual thing of, I think basically they're dragging their heels on Avengers, then they'll drag their heels on Frozen, and then by the time they finish Frozen, like a year or two after that, you might get the Galaxy's Edge or Tatooine or whatever, Mandalorian land or whatever they decided polls better with the.
And a big part of
focus groups.
Avengers is retrofitting Rock and Roller Coaster from Aerosmith to Iron Man, right?
Yeah, and if you've seen, I don't know if anyone's been following any of that. Like that could be really interesting what they're doing with that ride. Like it could end up being crap, but it could be, from what I've seen of the projection work and stuff like that, it could be way more interesting than what we've currently got with Aerosmith. As much as I love Aerosmith, there's no shade there, but it sounds like what they're adding could be awesome.
I mean,
Let's go to
saying,
Asia. Let's pivot to Asia and talk about Super Mario World and the new Mario.
Well,
Kart
hold
ride
on.
we
Did
got.
y'all forget about Beauty and the Beast opening up this year too?
Oh, the amazing animatronics! Yeah,
That was
Beauty and
last
the
year,
Beast?
wasn't it? That was
No,
the
it
end
was
of
this
last
year.
2020.
No, I think it was
Are you
this
sure?
year.
I'm pretty sure it was the end.
I think it
of
was 2020, Jalen.
Was it 2020?
I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah, because they started building that thing in 2017. Because I was using it the other day.
You
for one
might
of
be
my-
right. Yeah, you might be right because it was supposed to be finished summer of 2020 and they were already pretty much done with it when we all shut down.
And that's in Asia. I was going to Asia. That's in Asia, right?
Yep,
yeah,
yep,
it's
no,
like one
you're
of it's one of them things where it's kind of passed us by. Like the is it the Hong Kong the castle redo that kind of opened?
Yeah, that too.
during the pandemic, and it was great, but it's kind of like
Beauty and the Beast was
Yeah.
March of 2020, March or April of 2020. So right when the
Okay.
shit hit the fan, apparently. So yeah, so let's go to Super Nintendo World at Universal Osaka. What looks like a really small land from the aerial shot. Once you get in there, it looks like you said earlier, Jalen, really dense and really rich with a lot of colors, kinetics, things Disney keeps forgetting to put in their new lands.
I'm a huge Nintendo nerd. I mean, I was just playing my Switch before we got on this thing. The Mario Land just completely blew my mind. I don't want to talk too much on Mario Kart, given the fact my ass hasn't been on it. I don't really know much about that, but from just a different, like the Easter eggs and everything that they put into the queue, like I don't mean to like spasm or nerd out, but like you get to see Luigi's like Ghostbuster vacuum, the Poltergust. You get to see that in like his little changing locker when he changes into his clothes to race. You get to see Mario's like hammer from the Mario Maker set. Like they really did a great job of even with the Yoshi ride. Like the Yoshi ride is essentially a people mover. That's just you're sitting. I don't like the vehicles. I don't like the vehicles at all. There's just like Yoshi's Fat Ass Adventure. Like you're just literally sitting inside of a very thick Yoshi, and I don't like that. It's like he thick boy. Like it's just.
Can we make his ass smaller, please?
The thickness is too much. Like I thought, I don't think I would ever say that in my life, but the thickness is way too. Reduction is needed. But other than that, like I love how
the alternative would be like it's small enough for one person, and then you're going to look like a grown-ass adult in a tiny little Yoshi, because that would look ridiculous.
I was thinking
it was ridiculous riding it. To be fair, not you personally. I just mean generally. If an adult
imagine
gets on
if
a
it
ride
was
like that.
imagine if it was like Hagrid, but where you just get on Yoshi's back and then you just have like a big pouch that Yoshi has on his side that you can like sit in. Like I think that would have been better than just having thick Yoshi. Like
that changes the ride. The ride is basically a kid's ride. I know it's obviously not just a kid's ride, but the demographic is a ride that Chris can take Aria on. Really, that's what it is. Whether she wants to or not, that's the.
I was just thinking like
target
a
audience.
carousel. I was like a little carousel horse, something along those lines. But I mean, it does make sense to have a grouped family vehicle. You're right. I mean, it looks weird. I'm sorry. That's the only thing. But I like everything about Super Nintendo World. I like everything that they've done so far.
To geek out on a little bit on you, so basically Japan's Super Nintendo area, and I'm not talking about the show building because they're all the same size, and I'm not talking about Donkey Kong, but Japan's one's about 80,000 square feet. Sorry, that would be insane. And obviously that's kind of doubles because it's 2 layers and all the rest of it. But the Epic one is going to be about 15 or 20,000 square feet, even bigger than that. so they're going to ram even more into that area.
That's perfect.
So,
I mean-
and obviously that excludes what they're going to do with Donkey Kong and all the rest of it, because that's basically the Donkey Kong land is an extra ride. That's it. The land is the ride, and then some sort of little small shop or retail thing or whatever. But
I'm
it's
just happy
exciting.
that two of my favorite like theme parks and Nintendo coming together. That's something that I've been wanting for years. The only thing close that we ever got was like a little mini Pokemon fair that traveled around Japan. Other than that, like this is a dream come true. And plus like the little band things where it's like an actual video game where you have to win to go deeper into levels. Like that was Shigeru Miyamoto all like that's the whole thing. I love it. I love what they've done. Even with the Mario Kart ride, I know a lot of people have ragged on that, but if you look at Nintendo games, they've always tried to make it accessible for everybody. That's the whole entire thing is making sure that everybody can have fun. So I kind of figured the Mario Kart ride wouldn't. I was thinking it might go fast in terms of like 23 miles an hour, but I think they made a happy medium where it's just about the pure fun of it all. Like it has to be fun. It has to be fun. That's the thing above all. And in Nintendo, that's like the number one thing is make sure the gameplay is good, make sure the number one function of the funness of this is fun, and then add in all those extra frills. And I think Mr. Iwata would be proud. Shit is just chef's kiss all over the place.
I think Dave Cobb did a thread not last year, obviously, like the never-ending pandemic, but when all the heat came off of, oh, it's too slow, I thought it would be racing, all that crap, like Dave did a really good job because obviously he's an expert in building rides. That's literally his job, and explained, like, walked everyone through why, you know, it's either a massive show building for speed or it's this or that, and explained it pretty well as to why. And basically said, like, don't shit on something you've not been on, like, give it a chance. And I personally saw enough of the POV video to go, I think that's going to be really fun and I'm going to enjoy that. And I'm not the biggest computer game or Nintendo fan, but even I thought, yeah, that looks really cool, and no one's doing that yet. So I'm
the real litmus test is putting your grandmama on it. It's like a Wii. Like if your grandparents can play it and they have fun with it, or like somebody like you who knows nothing about video games or anything about that franchise significantly, if it has to be inviting and fun to everybody, and if they get it from a little kid all the way up to a 60-year-old. They did their job right. That's a classic Nintendo principle.
That's why Soren works so well, because Soren was for everyone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Facts.
All right, and not to not include the amazing Jurassic World ride at Universal, also at Shanghai Universal. Or not Shanghai. Help me out here.
Beijing.
Universal Beijing.
Yep.
Amazing Jurassic. As a JP super fan that I am, I was wanting to book my flight immediately to get out there and ride that damn thing.
I mean, the fact that they opened an entire park during a pandemic as well, is pretty damn
stuff.
impressive.
Really good stuff. All right, let's go to our next news story on the 9 News Nuggets you need to know. What is it? Speaking of Universal rides and amazing, and Jurassic World and amazing, let's talk about what has got to be the best new ride of 2021, the VelociCoaster. Tommy, I rode this ride for the first time a few months ago, and there are very few times, and again, we're all jaded theme park fans here. We've all done this 1,000 times. We've ridden everything. There's very few times I ride a ride and I get off and I am literally shaking, an out-of-body experience. And that is exactly what happened with VelociCoaster. I walked off this thing and was like, I looked at Eric and we just looked at each other like, what the fuck just happened? From the queue to the theming to the ride itself, the airtime, it was unreal.
I can't wait. And I'm pretty jealous. Bobby's out there right now. I'm pretty jealous that he's out there riding it this week. But
it's crazy. The hype going into it is, that was the best ride ever. Oh my god! And I'm like, all right, whatever, guys, shut up. It's a roller coaster. Be quiet. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is one of the few rides where I've, from the get-go, from the start to the finish, and kind of known not every single detail, but I've known so much about it before many, many, many people did. So I knew what was going to come in. I knew it was going to be awesome. I knew everyone was just going to be like, wow, 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 the whole time. But also, I kind of saw two sides of it. I also saw people kind of like sort of not looking down their nose at it, but going, oh, I think everyone was kind of expecting it to be another Hulk, and that's all it would be. And no disrespect to the Hulk, because it's a fine ride. Like, it's not, but it's a lightly themed thrill coaster, not too big on the experience, not too big on the immersion. And then obviously once that rock work started going up, and then static, I don't want to call them animatronics, but you know what I'm talking about. The Raptors started going in, the figures, everyone started going, okay, right, this isn't just a ride. But also, I was reviewing some of my tweets from last year, and then the fact that in the space of 12 months, if you look at December 2019 versus December 2020, like how quick they built that ride. Like, it's just insane. Yeah. It's just insane. Like,
Velocicoaster is so good, Jalen. It's got a 30-minute documentary on the Peacock app. That's how good this damn ride is.
Oh, yeah. One of the homies is on it. Lil Mateo and them, they on it.
Yeah.
Like, they at the very end. I can't ride Velocicoaster. I got a bump ticker, so I can't really go on it. But
are you? Have you not been tempted to just at least walk the queue? I know you can't ride it.
Oh, no, I have. I was just about to get on that. Don't get ahead of me, son. I love the queue.
I was just checking you hadn't done yourself a disservice by.
Well, I go with friends, and they go on it, but I normally hang out in the family area where I'm happy anyway because they got Camp Cretaceous playing.
You can watch Camp Cretaceous. That's right.
They literally got Camp Cretaceous playing, and they're like, I just have I got my little Game Boy emulator, and I'm playing Tetris, and I'm watching. I feel like I'm 8. Like, it's a good time. It's a great time. Like, I may or may not have a beer in my hand. Like, it's a great time just to sit in there in the air conditioning, playing Tetris and watch.
And kudos to Universal again. I can take my kid on this ride on the queue, at least, so the queue, and she's a big Jurassic World fan, and she can see Blue and Echo and Delta, and she can see the little shadows in the wall and stuff, and watch Camp Cretaceous in the family room. That's just one more thing Universal does, and I love. And what they do with their family rooms.
I got a friend who works over at River Journey, and I will say River Journey breaks my heart. Even though I get why they don't do it, breaks my heart because all they play over in River Journey is Land Before Time.
Oh, my kid!
There's 14. There are 14 Land Before Times.
It's the sad songs they do. Oh my gosh, my kid loves it.
Oh my gosh, Land Before Time. The fact that they made 14 Land Before Times. The last Land Before Time was made in 2014.
Steven
Spielberg,
it
was way too damn soon.
I think I saw the first one at the cinema. When did the first one come out?
I think it was like the 80s or the 80s. Yeah, when did American Tail come out? Maybe
American Tail was 89. That was 89.
I don't know if it came before or after, but Land Before Time just kept making movies. It's insane. And I'm surprised they haven't. How has that not got a reboot? I'm surprised like that.
1988. So I was 5. So maybe I don't know.
Fern
Gully. I definitely saw Fern Gully at the cinema. When was that?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's coming next. DreamWorks Land Before Time. Be on the lookout.
Break my heart all over again. It's a sad
Illuminations American Tail too. That would
this is a great 1-2 punch coming off of Hagrid last year in 2020 to have this, or was it 2019 maybe? Yeah, it was 2020. Having Velocicoaster in 2021, it just two home runs back to back. And again, this queue, if you can't do coasters or don't like coasters, or you're 2 years old like my kid, the queue alone is unreal.
They did a damn good job. And they gave out free churros the same day. I think that's I went to opening just for them free churros. That's the only reason.
Right. Have you been on it? Am I the only one from us lot that hasn't been on it yet?
Yeah, I've been on it. Yep. I went on it before it opens.
Oh, one of them, are you? Ooh.
That's another thing that we can praise it about. This thing it unlike Disney that has opened up a rise just off the cuff, like just rushed it out the door. They had this thing being tested. They're like, oh, it's not open yet. The bid was open for 3 months. Like it was open for so long.
Yeah, but
It was open for so long.
Well, they made the mistake of booking the talent,
which is great because
before the ride was ready.
it
on
was the
Hagrid's, and
opposite
then
of-
realized that let's not do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the opposite of Hagrid.
Like
So-
that thing was amazing. They shout out to Universal because they did it right. They really did it right. You open up the ride 2-3 months before, let everybody be guinea pigs, work out all the kinks. And it's just a super efficient coaster. Greg and them did the damn thing. It's beautiful. I can't want to get on it. I will risk
experience with Hagrid's though. Like the great as great a ride as it is, nobody got to ride it for the first like 5 months because it could only get through like a third of the park. Terrible capacity for a while.
That's a good point.
yeah. Did you say you rode it before? Did you say you rode it before even APs did? Was you one of those select few, or did you get it?
Yeah.
Did you get in early on the AP? So
I got in like early April, I guess.
So I guess you was riding it when it wasn't maybe not everything was all singing or dancing, but did you know back then that this is going to be like everyone that did you just know
definitely.
that it's going to be as amazing?
Yeah.
interesting.
At that point,
It's
there
an
was already a lot of
unreal
word of mouth from other team members. So at that point, I was like, could it be that good? And after riding it, I was like, yeah, pretty much.
So the question I have for all of you three is like, where do they go from here? Like in terms of, because the bar is so high from
Monsters Land, apparently. Ooh, Frankenstein.
Well, hold on. I feel like that. Don't do it like that.
I'm so underwhelmed by the Universal Monsters. I'm so underwhelmed.
Really?
Yes.
Like I feel like that's
the
going to be an
Wolfman.
evergreen. That's that evergreen side of the park that can never like that.
I'm
won't
more
ever-
so just bitter because Tom Cruise messed up the entire Dark Universe. He screwed the whole thing up. That's what I'm more bitter about.
Is that what you wanted? Is that what you wanted for that land? You wanted the Dark Universe land?
No, I just wanted some good IP.
Give us a Dracula Untold land.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh
Give
my
us
gosh,
Tom
they
Cruise
did-
the Mummy Land. Remember that movie?
After all the love I've done seen them get from HHN, I feel, and plus the monsters, they are they are like the foundation for all of the horror movies that we have today. Respect them and give them a
When was the last
land.
time you sat down and watched The Thing from 1937? Come on.
They
Or
still
Dracula.
scary. I
When was
walked
the
through.
last time you watched them? When
I
was the
walked through
last
Bride
time
of
you watched
Frankenstein and it was
Wolfman?
scary. Bride of Frankenstein was hidden.
Yeah, come on.
And also the only one of the few places a black woman could be a scare actor and have her face be shown.
Yes, an
So
issue.
you know what
gotta work on.
representation?
So look, putting the IP aside, putting even what's going into Epic Universe, just talking on the more general sort of question that I posed in terms of how does this change the game for the industry? Does this actually finally put Disney on notice of like, oh fuck, we've really got to push the bar or not?
I think it already
does it
has.
not push the needle? I
think
mean,
it
I do
already
feel.
has.
I feel maybe they have tried to do that with Cosmic Rewind, but I obviously know a lot about that project, but I could still be my hopes of what it could be. I could still be disappointed. I'm going with an open mind, but
You look
I
at the
feel
head
like they're
fake.
trying to do that, but who
You
knows?
look at the head fake Universal did when they were like, "Oh, Universal's all screen riots." Universal's like, "Bet you know what? Here's this. Here's Hagrid's. Here's Bourne. Here's Velocicoaster, and
Look
here's
at
Disney
Pets.
with a bunch of screen rides. Pets, yeah, Slop.
Like
Yeah.
Pets came out of nowhere. Now, granted, let's wait for 5 years because we know how Universal does with animatronics. History
Men
has
in
shown
Black.
us that you will get ET with no mouth moving. His arms will
Yeah.
move, but even though his principal function is telling you goodbye, he's kind of just ventriloquisting it. Like he just has his teeth shut and he can't move. I don't know how those animatronics are going to look. Get out there while you can. but hopefully this is a sign of better where they're going to upkeep those, those functions.
So, Chris, what would you have? Like, I'll ask all three of you. What would you have Universal build now? Would you stick with that theme and thrill, or like where would you go if they gave you the job tomorrow and said, right, you're UC?
I've already said if it was me, I'd build more Jurassic stuff, but I'm a JP super fan. I don't know, because I walk out of Bourne going, damn, I gotta go watch these movies again. Like they are able to take these benign franchises like Bourne, which was good in its day, but it's been 10, 15 years, and they revive them. So they have the Midas touch right now.
What about you, Ryan?
Except for Fast
I
and
think
Furious.
Studios is still pretty lacking as a park overall.
Very much so.
Compared to the others. So that needs the most attention. Probably Kid Zone first. We're already getting, Shrek replaced. So Kid Zone, and then on to the expansion. Maybe a replacement in Black, and then maybe include the expansion pad to the right of that. Who knows?
Sorry, you know what I'm doing? Just to jump in real quick, I'm building a Pokemon forest where you can have a full.
You son of a bitch! You know damn well that was
experience.
Mine. You know damn well that was mine. You son of a bitch!
Walk through the forest and catch real Pokemon.
How dare you? How dare you steal mine? How dare you steal? You know that was mine. You know that was mine, motherfucker. You know that was mine.
I'm building a Pokemon forest. My idea. Chris Wakefield approved.
Chris, fuck you. I was going to have that was my idea, you rat bastard. You rat bastard.
Come on now, guys. Stop agreeing with each other on ideas. You know
radio.
I'm going past Chris's. That's such a basic thing to do. Like that was like maybe my A ticket. I'm doing the Pokemon Land, and I'm doing Pokemon Snap, multiple biomes, multiple animatronic Pokemon, and also on top of that, I wanted to be like Kilimanjaro Safaris. I want this to be like a 7-minute long ride where you go through different types of Pokemon biomes, everywhere from going from magma to forest to the beach to the icy tundras, and maybe even to go to space. Possibly, I would love. Just Pokemon and a Mewtwo walkthrough that's more so like a Mewtwo based what's it called?
Mewtwo
Poseidon's Fury with Mewtwo.
Where you meet giant Mewtwo.
Well said, Brian. Well said.
Yeah. Very, 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 very outer bodish.
Give the space station a chance. It's got to come back into orbit so we can pick him up again.
But Jalen, that's genius. I think that's actually he hit it on the nail on the head of where there's meat on the bone is with Nintendo and really with Pokemon.
Yeah, but what I was going to say, my sort of comment to what Jay was saying, because obviously I don't know anything about Pokemon, but I feel more positive now that actually Universal feel emboldened enough to lean into something like that and do it properly and not just try and shoehorn, because essentially what we were going to get before, and I'm so glad they made the decision to move it over to Epic, but basically what we was going to get before shoot into Kid Zone was a little bit of Super Nintendo, Mario, a little bit of Zelda, a little bit of Pokemon.
It was like a hodgepodge, right?
It was going to be like kind of smorgasbord, like a tasting menu of everything, and really half-assed it. Now I think they'll do the Western expansion first, and then by the time Simpsons and Men in Black and all that kind of get to their retirement age, shall we say, that actually they will fully commit to a full like Pokemon Land or something like that, and we will get something substantial.
Give me my Pokemon Batu.
You will get something that is those kind of things. Like it won't just be, a tokenistic kind of whatever. Yeah. You'll get something that's worth. And I feel hopefully like Universal will drive Disney to be better, and then that will then subsequently drive.
That's not there anymore.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
Well, I do want to say,
just see Epic Universe steal the market share from Disney. Then that's
what'll happen. Yeah,
I do want to say.
I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Universal, if you are hearing, you got a Pokemon nerd right here who would help you throughout the entire design phase. I know everything. about all 8 regions, including the other ones from the side games. I'm your man. Give me a call. You know exactly where you can find me.
You could be
I'm
the
ready
Joe
whenever.
Rody of Pokemon theme parks.
Originally, I wanted Pokemon to go to Animal Kingdom, but they were fronting, so now Universal got it. It's hey, and probably Universal's going to do it better anyway. It's cool.
Well, all right, we have 4 more stories to go on our 2021 recap. Let's go to story number 4. The Galactic Star Cruiser is set to open this year. We got a ton of videos, photos, sneak peeks, lightsabers, a lot of stuff from the Star Cruiser. We've given our thoughts ad nauseum, it seems like, on this. But overall, how do you think the campaign to sell rooms for this cruise ship, not a cruise ship resort went?
Open booty, trash, just garbage, just trash, trash.
Shit show.
And Jalen, and you said earlier today, I think it was, or yesterday, you don't have a problem with what's in the hotel itself, but you have a problem with the marketing of it, right?
Yeah, no, they're doing very like the only 2 pieces of marketing that I do like is the one where they show off the Diva Gaia, and then they also have that welcome video, because that welcome video seems like it has a lot of underlying secrets if you do know more about the Halcyon and you do know what happened on Batu 300 years ago. I do like that. That's the only thing that really has catched me. But like like you basically playing giant asteroids in space. Like, why are you showing that off to me? Like, why are you showing that off? Like, show off aliens. Show off some more foreign stuff. Show off some of these guys that you're going to meet more that seem very foreign. I don't want to see the dude from, I don't know, Solar Opposites. What's that little guy's name? What ABC show is he from? I don't know.
Yeah, Goldberg.
On the middle or something like that. I don't want to see that kid do this and that. I don't care.
I think one of the biggest issues was we thought this was going to be a hotel resort that really pushed the boundaries of Disney technology, and we haven't seen that yet. It's been more about a copy of Star Wars, and not here's the latest tech you can come play with, and you can hold a real lightsaber, etc., etc.
Do you think that they're doing where they kind of they clutch to their chest? We don't want to give away all the really good secrets.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
same.
I hope at least. I hope that's the case.
Another theory, which I would completely agree with. I won't say who it was, but we was having a discussion in the group chat. But she said it also seems a little bit like they're putting out these things every time something gets signed off and finished. Like, the singer's been trained. Okay, right. Let's get photographer or video in. Let's get that done. Right. That's another thing off the list. Right. What's next? Okay. Right. The captain. Okay. Right. We've cast the captain. Let's release her picture. And it's like they're working instead of doing, which seems to be like Disney's MO is either do little tiny drip, little tiny things and make them as if it's the biggest thing ever. Or the other one is the Disney data dump where they've got so much and they just drop it all at once. And I think probably in this situation, the data dump would have been the better option. And then like just overwhelmed with so much stuff that like people can't sit there and nitpick it and go, I don't like the look of that. I don't like the look of that.
It's kind of like the Zach Ridley thing. It's like the Zach Ridley thing.
Look at this. There's only so many times you can look at quartz tiles and go, that's really exciting. Like,
I think it's
cool, but like,
thanks, Zach. Thanks. Oh, look at this piece of zinc siding. Wow. Okay, thanks. What else you got?
All right, y'all get it. Y'all can get off my husband. But like, I like, for me, with the Zach Ridley thing, I don't really think that's big enough to note. It's one thing to just see like the head designer posted on his Instagram. It's another thing when you guys do these huge YouTube videos during these huge like celebrations and things along those lines. Like Josh D'Amaro playing basically the Kinect wasn't hitting. Like nobody really like. It would be one thing if you had the real lightsaber in your hand, like the quote unquote real lightsaber.
And real
it's another thing where it's
I think even some of the most simplest things they could have done probably to sell that is if they literally just had a dude in like Jedi robes standing behind him, where it looks like maybe it's like training him, but just seeing some fucking corporate douche just standing there skimming from side to side, pointing at lasers. They just don't help themselves.
But
Like the most
They have the
unathletic person you could find.
like for me, if you look at the original like, Star Wars training for a lot of, at least when it comes to like Luke and them, especially when he's first learning, it's like an orb. Why not just have a drone that floats around and shoots that out? And that would seem more cool to me than just going up against a wall, because they do have that. I've played a Star Wars video games where you do have the wall coming at you, but you also have the floating orbs. So why not just get a drone and have that do the same thing and just shoot infrared beams where you smack it back? Like, yeah, that seems relatively easy.
And again, that goes back to Disney. We were thinking, for whatever reason, I don't know if they promised it or what, we were thinking this will be a place you can go and have the latest tech to play with.
If people are dropping $2,000, bitch, you better get a drone out here. I don't care if it's a dude in the back with the remote. Like, get him out there and get me. Like, I want to feel this, and that's the one thing. Like, again, I've been in this thing's corner since day one, but at the same time, y'all not doing good, baby. Y'all showing the worst things. Y'all need to get your weight up. I don't know what you're doing, but you're looking a little rusty. You're looking a little crusty. Y'all looking a little ashy.
Remember when they had the Void and that cost like the price of a movie ticket to experience?
And people loved it. And people fucking loved it.
And what did Disney do? They walked away from the partnership. I'm sure they had shares. Like the Void were about to default on a loan. Instead of Disney going, oh, this is really great tech that like when our parks reopen, we're going to need these guys. They went, fuck you, see you later. I'm probably thinking in the back of their minds, oh, well, we've seen enough. We can do this ourselves. Like in 3 years.
Oh yeah, no, you're right, because now they have the little booth down in downtown Disney over in Anaheim where you can test out the new Galaxy's Edge game that's on the Oculus.
But
and they're pushing that hard. I'm getting ads for that every 30 seconds on YouTube.
What I would say, guys, and I think it's something that we kind of need to also consider, as much as we can all sit here microanalyzing the hotel, is you've got to remember that this hotel at most can only take 500 people a night. So the most you're going to see per year, and that's if it's fully booked, absolute maximum is 92,000 people a year, right? So that's like less than 0.5% of the 21 million people go to Magic Kingdom, right? So not only is it out of our physically out of our price range or financially out of our out of our reach, but the reality of it is most people aren't going to go to the hotel anyway. So Disney could have that hotel booked at 50% occupancy for
No.
Listen, they could. Listen, let me finish. They could have it at 50% occupancy, and in revenue, based on what they're charging at the moment, they'll still make 45 million in a year.
But I don't think that'll cover the cost of it, though. I think that's not good.
You think?
What the staff
with the amount of money Imagineering spends on these projects?
Oh, come on, they're not paying unionized actors. They're getting cast members and training them up.
No, but just to build it, and the way they build their tech and the way they build their next gen projects to Imagineering, and it gets built into the project itself. Disney needs to see at least a 3 or 4 times profit margin before they even.
But they can't physically see. They're not going to see that kind of profit. If that's the case, they won't see that for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
what I'm saying is, it's a boutique hotel. The most they're going to see in revenue is $91 million a year. That's it, absolute max. If it's fully occupied for the next 12 months, that's all they'll see in revenue.
And that's not counting all the add-ons.
They're still charging for drinks. They're charging for suites.
Yeah, that
costs
too.
A lot more, stuff like that. So yeah, and all the add-ons.
No, what do you mean the suites? No. I've worked that. What the numbers that I'm telling you is, I've looked at how many number of suites and stuff. That's literally their starting rate. So yeah, that's the starting rate of the rooms and the prices as it was released.
Even the uber rich are not falling for this to the extent we thought they would at first. I think again, we're looking at a cruise in October, and it's a no-brainer. It's for 2 nights. Two nights. People who are stupid rich didn't get stupid rich by being stupid and wasting their money on stuff like this.
And it's not. But when, like I said, and you think about it, the fact that we're talking 0.4% of the people who just go to Magic Kingdom, that's all that they can take in a year. In fact, if they realize I think people are holding out thinking, I hope it's a bit crap. So then they put the prices down. The point I'm making is They don't need to put the prices down. They can, even if they want to, the way that it's built to generate income is if they need to spend 5 million on an extra little something else, whatever that's like a void AR suite, you know, if they need to add that onto the current building, they can do that pretty easily and make their money back. If that's what it takes to get a few more bookings, they don't need to lower the prices. And I think people kind of need to realize that.
So are you saying that you think this hotel will be successful into perpetuity? For the next 15 years, it'll be good to go? Yeah?
I'm saying that it doesn't, that if it can get away with going lower occupancy and still be generating money because it's charging so much.
Right. I don't think
the numbers.
I don't think this thing makes it past 2 years the way it is now.
You think?
No. I think
all I'm saying is
reskinned, rethemed, or just torn down.
At the moment, people are expecting a binary choice of it succeeds or it fails. What I'm saying, because it's so expensive, the truth could be somewhere in the middle. And yeah, like I said, they could in 6 months' time realize that it needs something else, or they might need to tweak the price point down a little bit. But what I'm saying is, if you're expecting it to be the same price as another deluxe hotel because it's quote unquote failed, the chances are that's not realistic. No. And I have seen people that are basically trying to wait out and hold out, thinking, I'll go when it's so much cheaper. But if that's what you're expecting. Yeah. What I'm saying is the business model isn't that. It has to. If they want it to succeed, they will spend. If anything, they'll spend more money on making it succeed, so they can continue charging that same amount as what they are now, rather than put the prices down.
Because I'm fairly optimistic. I'm with Tommy on this one. I think it probably will boil out. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understand how much money, like Star Wars nerds, like hardcore motherfuckers who have been dreaming about this forever. Like when the chick said you could dress up however you want, how you could come in your gear, how you could come into like your full gear. Imagine if Star Wars weekends was still being held, or even the Star Wars celebration took place in Orlando. That thing would be crazy. I mean, you still see people who love this stuff and who really want to live and breathe in these worlds, which is why we still see people go all the way out and buy them droids, wait astronomical times just to spend $200, $100 on building these things like that. I think there's proof enough.
My only worry, really, the more realistic worry, is the fact that because they've got to please these people, that we get this situation where it ends up being like a kind of Epcot, you know, where World Showcase or whatever doesn't open till 11, where it's like, well, we've got to let the cruise guests, have run of Galaxy's Edge. So the first 2 hours a day you can't get in, or some shit like that. Yeah, because that's the kind of stuff that I would be more. Or
they make the cruise guests wake up at 5 a.m. to experience the park between 5 and 7.
Yeah, or they just between the like lunchtime, like the cruise guests get between like 12 and 1, and everyone else can fuck off. Like, no, you go and get lunch, come back in an hour. Like, honestly, I'd be less surprised about that sort of thing than the prices going down.
I also think that they're going to. I don't think you're just going to have that one set time to go to Batuu. I think that's going to be something that continuously cycles throughout the day. Because say I want to see Batuu at night. Say I want to come early in the day. Yeah. Say I want to do this. Say I want to do that. And like you said, if people are going to build droids and people are going to build lightsabers, are they going to just expedite those folks to go first? And is it going to be like a lightning lane situation?
It better be for the price.
That's what I'm saying. And I don't, some of this does not seem functional in the same way an actual cruise is, where like the boat's going to leave. No, bitch, I know we going right around the corner. You can keep coming back and forth to pick me up. So either you might have a set time to go to Batuu, you might all go in at one
but then
time.
You're gonna miss your 5th game of Sabacc that night.
Hey, don't
that's
joke
half
about
the schedule they have. Half the schedule is Sabacc.
I'm
lunch,
out here.
Sabacc. Breakfast and then Sabacc.
Remember what I said though, at absolute most, it's at absolute full capacity. I'm talking every single suite filled with every possible bed. It's 500 people a night, which in the grand scheme of things of how many people visit a theme park in a day is pennies. So if they need to split up the parties into groups of 50 or something like that, they easily will do that,
Yep.
So
All right, let's get to our next story. We have 3 more stories to go. What are the 3 biggest theme park news stories of 2021? 3 more to go. Here we go. All right, we've gone a long time without saying the C word. We mentioned Delta, we mentioned Omicron, but COVID really impacted the way we experience theme parks this year, from Universal to Disney. Mask, no mask, then mask again. We just got word last week that masks for indoors are back on at Disney World and Universal Studios Orlando. Really kind of a whiplash effect this year. Jay, Ryan, and I have all visited Disney and Universal theme parks this year and have had to deal with that. What are your thoughts on how people have reacted to the COVID precautions and measures this year in theme parks?
I guess for Ryan, do you want to go first since you used to work there? Up until the beginning of this year, I think you should probably go first. You're a cast member. I mean, you are a team member, so I think you should go first.
Yeah, I got I got pretty used to wearing it, but I got pretty sick of enforcing it. So I kind of just gave up on enforcing it. It's
the mask
pretty funny
mandate or the
watching
condom mandate? Which one are you talking about?
It's pretty funny just watching people who are against it. They're so stubborn and infantile.
I remember that one dude who got arrested from Disney Springs where he ran past them and they had to drag him back. Like he thought he got away. You ever see like that one kid who like runs away and then their parents just go, like you see a little baby who runs away and they look back like, yeah, I'm home free. And then you just go and you grab them and you just pick them up and you just take them back the other way and you start flailing and crying. Like that's what it felt like.
We've had 6 months of this now. The parks opened back up in July of 2020. You had 6 months of the routine, and people were still walking into the parks. I saw it at Disney a couple of months ago. People go, "Oh, I'm not wearing my mask, and you can't make me." Like, dude, you knew what you signed up for, right?
They tell you on that website. And how can't you? As soon as I get to Orlando, I get 3, 4, 5 app notifications about we've done something about COVID, and like you see it on everything. You
just
see
wear
it
the damn
on
mask. I don't understand the issue here.
Like, if you don't, like, I don't even want to make it political. Like, it's not political. If I go to somebody's house and they want me to take my shoes off, I'm not going to fight them about wanting to take off my shoes. I'm going to respect them or I'm going to leave.
That's a great analogy for it. That's a really great analogy of just this. It's a private property. It's their rules. You don't like it, then go.
And I got homies who work on the front line with this. I had a friend who was on the credit crew. They were on the credit crew. The credit crew had to go around enforcing things. And they saw some shit. They've been through some shit. They've been called this, enough. That, and the third. They've been through so much. I got team, and at least with Disney, I felt like at Disney I was a little more safe because they were stern as a mother with that shit. They were mad stern with it, as opposed when I go to Universal. Most TMs I know didn't want to enforce it because some people feel like Universal isn't going to protect them if something goes down.
Right.
I had another cast. It's insane.
I get it. Like, it's tough to wear a mask in Orlando in July. I was there last July. And
it's hot. It's musty.
It's hot. I had a full beard. I'm sweating. It's not fun. But if you're asked to do it, and if it's the safest thing to do, I was out shopping last week after Christmas, the day after Christmas at IKEA and Costco. They were packed. I put my damn mask on. I was like, this is really damn dangerous to be in this crowd. So I don't like wearing a mask. I hate it. But when you have to do it, if I want to go to a theme park with my kid, I'm going to do it. And I think the biggest thing is, too, a lot of men don't like it, and they get embarrassed when they have to get reminded to put their mask on. Like, we were walking on Mickey and Minnie's, and we went from the outside to the inside. And sometimes you forget, you got to pull it up now. You're going indoors. And they get reminded, and they get, instead of like, oh, yeah, sorry about that, they get defensive. And they double down.
I get that, and I think some of that stuff does come down to ego or people who just want to
100%
want to be rebels and just still want to go in here. I see people who wear masks and it just says like Joe Biden's making me wear this mask even though it's useless. I mean, I'll take that over somebody yelling that and just fighting a fight that you are not going to win. You're not going to win this. You're going to make yourself look like an ass. You're going to embarrass the rest of your family. And you can't sue Disney because they told your bitch ass not to come in here without a mask. Like that, if I was a cast member or TM and somebody did it to me, I'm like, well, hey, dude, take your ass on somewhere. You don't have
you
to
can
be
leave.
here.
Yeah, you can leave.
You don't have to
You
be
can
here.
leave.
I know I paid all this money and you knew coming here, you see, and yes, tourists, they turn their brain off. But if you keep hearing it over and over and over again, you keep seeing people be reminded, if you keep seeing this thing that's all over the place, if you have the app on your phone, and soon as you get to a park and it just starts hitting you up with like 3 or 4 notifications about COVID and what we're doing for COVID and this, that, and the third, you can't sit here and be like, I didn't know what was going on. No, you're a smacked ass and take your ass on somewhere.
Then just don't do it. I was in New York a few weeks ago, and I had to have a vaccine card just to sit down in a diner and get a plate of eggs and bacon. Like, it could be a lot worse in Orlando.
But that's
It's not,
that's still no drama. There's still no
Right.
drama. Oh, get your phone out. Like,
Yeah,
so
I knew
what?
the rules. I brought my vaccine card with me on the plane, and bing, bang,
And I
boom.
just think like it's very hard to understand from someone that lives so far away from a theme park that, you know, if I have to get on a plane and fly and then, you know, I don't know what's going to happen in May. Let's just assume it's the status quo with the rules of wearing a mask. I know that that's what I've got to do. If a theme park was my local, like, take it or leave it, which essentially for most people that are going to the parks, the past 18 months have been people that it's like take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Like, it just, like, going to a theme park would not be at the top of my list of things to do. Like, anyway, because it can be at times a bit of a miserable experience. So it's just like, you know, given the choice, if I felt that strongly about it, I would do something else, something with AC, something indoors or whatever. If I felt that strongly, I would just avoid it. Like, at the moment, because of everything, I'm avoiding going to the cinema. I love going to cinema, but until it feels a little bit more safer that I can do that I just accept that that's just one of those things. And I just think people need to just fucking chill out a little bit, you know?
I thought I was being clever when I saw Spider-Man last week. I was like, oh, I'm going to go to the Thursday show at 11:30 a.m. No one's going to be there. The theater was packed at 11:30 on a Thursday.
That's amazing. I mean, well, that speaks to how good that movie's been drawing people. But
yeah, it was sold out.
Insane. It's insane. It's another analogy. Say you want to go to the club. I know tons of people go to the club, and there's a dress code for the club.
Yeah,
you're not gonna cuss out the bouncer for telling you to take your ass on with your khaki shorts and your New Balances. Like, no, you're going to leave.
Yeah.
Or if you really want to go into that thing, you're going to change.
Just to get a bit of clarification for me and possibly anyone that's listening that hasn't been to the parks for a while, are the rules that you're wearing a mask indoors only? They're not. It's not like they're forcing people to wear one outside in the humidity, are they?
Universal now is saying you have to wear it all over.
Yeah, they just changed it this week.
But from what I remember, Disney is just like inside.
Yeah.
Which surprised me because they were the most strict out of all of them. Disney, I felt safer at Disney. I really did. Now, sometimes I will say, speaking like what Tom was saying, I remember going summertime and I'm in line and I'm in like the queue for Muppet Vision and we're outside. I try to go for a drink of water and the cast member get on me about that, even though, you know, it's balls hot and I'm outside. But I took it because I would rather have that. And also, she was black and she reminded me of my auntie, and I was scared. But at the same time,
I'm sorry, auntie, I won't do it again.
But at the same time, like, I like it. I would rather have that than over at Universal, where it just seems like it is god awful. Like just anarchy where you can do whatever because TMs don't want to enforce things because they're scared to enforce things. They don't want that static because people will assault you for that, and that's amazing. That's messed up, but you're going to fight somebody in a theme park that you paid. You are going to get kicked out of a place, go to jail, and get into a giant fight. For one, you knew the rules of the place, and two, you paid money for.
It's these yahoos who want to go and get clout for Twitter and Instagram and Parler and their little apps. And look at me, I'm a rebel. But I will say, just like I said in July of 2020, I went down to the parks when they first reopened to report and see what was happening. As everything, use your best judgment, like Tommy is doing with the movie theater. If it doesn't feel safe to you, then don't do it. If you find yourself in a situation where you're surrounded by people all of a sudden or a crowd shows up and you want to leave, then leave. Wear your mask, you're vaccinated. You're your best advocate in this situation. Whatever the rules are, if you don't feel safe, don't do it. Get out of there if you have to. Don't
think-
leave it to Disney and Universal to make sure you're safe. You keep yourself safe.
I think also you've got with this. I mean, it seems to be like, no offense, guys, but it does seem to be so much more neurotic in America.
Definitely.
In terms of the media and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
there's no nuance. There's no, oh, it's really bad, but it's either it's really bad, either the sky is falling or everything's okay and no one's got anything to worry about. There never seems to be any sort of nuance, and that's what I've seen from theme park reporting and people whose names I won't mention, who should really know better and have got maybe 40 or 50,000 followers that are screaming at Twitter because there's a queue of socially distanced people outside and there's a large crowd, but everyone's spaced out and there's an abundance of fresh air. So it just seems to be like it's one extreme or the other. Either people don't, it's this devil may care. I'm a rebel. I'm not going to wear a mask. I don't give a shit about anyone else. Or, oh my God, there's 5 people. They've all, it's outside, like they're so inconsiderate. Like kind of just apply a bit of common sense, do a little bit of reading and go, okay, am I relatively safe outside with fresh air? Yes. Am I unsafe inside in air conditioned air? Then I'll definitely wear my mask. It doesn't have to be so binary and so either or.
You've got to be your own best judge. You know your health, you know what's safe and what's not safe, and it's up to you. There have been several instances in the last year and a half where I've been with my family and I've go, whoa, this is way too crowded. We're not doing this. We're getting out of here. And we leave, and we just don't put ourselves at theme parks. We go, you know what? It's too many people right here in this spot. Not happening.
What I would say, adding to just the conversation, and I obviously always say, I don't care who everyone probably thinks I'm always shitting on Disney and not Universal. I will criticize Universal if they're doing something really dickish, like the possibility of them changing the security screening, like it's a big no-no. But for me, I would be extremely pissed off if I ended up basically getting stuck in America because I've caught COVID because they were being really reckless with allowing people to do whatever the fuck they want around the park. And
you can come stay with me.
Yeah, I know, but you know what I mean? That doesn't pay. Yeah, that doesn't pay my wages of the job I should be back doing. Do you know what I mean? Like, what I'm getting at is if they've been dicks about it and I end up suffering, I'm going to be pissed off. Like, so I'm glad they've kind of seen sense or whatever you want to call it. I hope they just put a bit of sense, put a bit of common sense for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months, whatever it may be, just to be a bit cautious. Because let's face it, you're flogging a dead horse with people who are going to get vaccinated. You're not going to vaccinate any more percentage of your population than what you are. Like, people are embedded. Like, they will not change their opinion. Like, that's it. So there's always going to be that risk of 30% of like the population wandering around unvaccinated. So,
COVID's going to be here for a few more years, y'all. We ain't going nowhere, so buckle up. All right, we got 2 more stories to go. If you're paying attention, you should know what these last 2 stories are, so let's get into it. Story number 2. All right, this was the year of a million dreams broken. Walt Disney World celebrated their 50th anniversary this year. You may not have known this, but with lots of new offerings and how can we forget
Ratatouille?
Ratatouille. So, but there was all big talk. Disney a few years ago was that guy who was going to really give it to you all night long, and he gave you 2 pumps and pulled out, and that was it.
Good God, Chris!
A lot of promises broken this year with Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary. Talk about a flop. This was it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I still had fun, but I was going to have fun.
Well, yeah, you're a mark. You're a shill.
Fuck you. No, I just was going to Epcot to get drunk, son, and have a good time and see all my friends together.
Did you ride Ratatouille yet?
Yeah, I've been hit that up.
Okay.
I mean, for me personally, I went to Epcot because I knew that's where everything was going to be, where it was happening. Mostly, I was happy for the return of all of the performers that were cut, especially the drummers. I love the drummers; those guys.
You were excited to see them come back. Just to clarify, not that they were. cut,
but I was happy to be there. I was happy to be
the janitor drummer guys.
No, no,
In
no,
I was
Japan.
going to say, for
they've
fuck's
been
sake,
there.
Jay.
No, they've been
No,
there.
the Japanese
But, like,
drummers.
The Japanese
Oh,
drummers.
yeah, okay, sorry.
I mean, I was happy to just hang out with. For me personally, I enjoyed the 50th because damn near it almost. This is my 10th year in the community. I got to see all of my different friend groups and basically everybody throughout my whole entire 10 years, and it was great.
You didn't
Great
see
for
me
me.
this year. I was there like 3 times this year. You didn't see
Well,
me.
I mean,
What's up with that?
I mean, you were folk from the same bracket. I mean, I guess that different friend groups and groups of people. Motherfucker, you know what I mean.
I
Anyway,
came down 3 times this year. But
I
did you
got to hang
enjoy it
out.
because it was the 50th or just because it was just another year? Like
I enjoyed it because it was the 50th. Because for me, it felt like a family reunion. It felt like that's what it felt like to me, and also a reunion of one, the drummers were made specifically for Epcot, so that's what really I was always worried about them I was worried about a lot of Epcot performers and performers in general because they just can't.
But that was not 50th specific.
No. It was just Ratatouille
Well,
for
basically,
me.
what you're
which
saying
was-
is you're happy with a return of normalcy to the park. That's not nothing
Yeah,
that wasn't
no, that's
laid
fair.
on for the 50th. And to be fair, even if you cite Harmonious,
hey,
that's not. No. There's no shade there for Harmonious. What I'm saying is, even if you cite Harmonious as something for the 50th, realistically, they've replaced a show, so they could have done that anytime.
Yeah.
You get
it
me?
wasn't. Hey, I wouldn't have been able to meet Zach Ridley randomly. He was
Oh,
there.
God.
That was the
Oh,
highlight of my.
God.
That was the highlight of my 50th.
There's
That was
still
a
a spot
highlight.
on the floor where that happened.
Y'all go ask Alicia how fun I got Buck Wild on the 50th, but for me, it just felt like Epcot already has a good atmosphere, but there was even more of a good atmosphere. Magic Kingdom seemed like hell. I wasn't going to touch that park. It seemed like it was unlivable. I already hate going to Magic Kingdom because it feels like that anyway, but it especially felt like that. But Epcot, it just felt like a good air of positivity, mostly because that's where all of the new stuff was being opened up at,
where all
and
the
most of
alcohol
that
is.
stuff was
New stuff. What? New stuff?
well, I mean, new stuff in the sense of returning things, such as Club Cool, such as Creations,
Oh,
such as
come
Space
on.
220, such as just things returning. I'm not going to sit here and say that they had the best lineup. It was the 50th that I wanted. No, I wanted Epcot to be damn near complete. I wanted all of the new stuff that was going to be there. I wanted Tron to be there. I wanted it to be the 50th that we were promised. Sure, but I was still able to have fun going into it because my expectations bedrock low. My expectations were bedrock low. I was just going in to see my friends over the past few years and get drunk like I do at every family reunion. That's all I wanted out of that. That was my 50th.
And I think that's where Disney that's where they thrive is, again, lower expectations and barely clear the bar sometimes. That kind of seems to be the new model for the world's most expensive vacation resort. But with that being said, you did mention Space 220. We did get Ratatouille. We did get that's it, right?
Yeah, you've got to the end of the list already. I know it's hard to get confused.
Well, actually, I do want to celebrate that we got Creations, which isn't fucking claustrophobic and confusing. Yeah, we'll at least say that's a lot.
Somewhere where they've built a nice space so you can give them more money.
Do y'all remember Mouse Gibbs? Mouse Gibbs was hell. I hated Mouse Gibbs.
I don't disagree, but my point is, I would never in a million years cite somewhere where they take money from me as when they've already taken whatever they've taken at the front gate for me to walk in there as some like an incentive to go to a theme park. It's not. Like that's a given. A nice shop should be a given, especially when they're charging as much as they are. It should be a given.
Especially when it's a
nice
themed shop that's not really themed. It's just like stripped down to look like a Starbucks or an Apple store.
I'll give you that.
Yeah,
but yeah, no,
model.
about that.
I mean, that's the motif Disney is looking to move to. A lot of places, McDonald's does this when they redid all the McDonald's places. Is it's got like a Starbucks or an Apple store. So.
And to be honest, for me, that should be like it's something that looks pretty classy and nice. To me, that's what the standard should be. Like when you're spending that much, I'm sorry, but I don't like all that kind of cheesy 90s stuff. Like they need to stop dining out and all that. Like everyone gets so misty-eyed about the 90s Disney stores, and for me, I don't like it. I didn't like it when they opened. Like, I'm not a fan. So
And
for
people
me,
going on about
something nice.
Electric Umbrella. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
I feel that.
But to sort of address the big rose gold elephant in the room, or not rose gold, depending on what
God.
kind of fight you want to have about it.
Don't do this to me.
Look, at the end of the day,
Ouch is the incel fight of the year.
as
Place
What's
it
that?
best, folks. It's the incel fight of the year. This is the real virginity rock, son. This is
Oh my God.
it's going ham, son. It's the 5'6", 90 pounds, soaking wet devil himself. A girl
dad
ain't
owns a
viewed his
dealership.
Mickey yet. It is.
Oh my God. Oh, I can't do this.
so
Stop. Go ahead, Tommy. I'm sorry.
Are we ready
dog.
to raise? Are we ready to raise the tone back
2
up?
hours.
Okay, that would on a Disney Dish episode. That would be when the advert would come in. While Jalen lowers the tone. Unfortunately, we haven't got advertisers because of those moments. But anyway, moving swiftly on. You know, right? Look, in all seriousness, we started the show saying that Universal committed to spending 2 or 3 billion on a theme park during a pandemic, and all the people that have got all the excuses the past year. Oh yeah, but Tron's delayed, but there was a pandemic, so you can't expect Disney to do this, that, and the other. Like bullshit. And without getting into it, there are many other reasons why those rides are sitting there still not opened, and history will, we'll find out eventually why they're not done. But the biggest issue now is forget what happened during the pandemic, forgetting what other issues, James Gunn getting fired. The fact is that they could have, if they really wanted to, chuck a whole bunch of money at those rides and got them done a lot quicker if they wanted to. They really could have. They chose not to. They chose in this financial year, not last financial year, but they chose in this financial year to not spend the amount of money that they were spending. Like they could be open now. They've chosen not to.
And I think to you were saying that people were justifying, oh, well, Tron is going to be 3 years late because they stopped construction for 2 months, or 3 months. Come on, guys.
Yeah, we'll find out about that eventually. And I will not talk about it. We'll find out. And yeah.
That's going to make a good documentary. That's going to make a good documentary.
They'll never make it. I'm still panning for the sequel to Disney War, the book.
Oh God, that'll be good. That'll be a good book.
I mean, this is the other thing. It's also I would argue it's actually I'm not going to get into tinfoil hat, but I would say partially is a minor act of sabotage in terms of Chapek basically taking on the job earlier than he expected and going, well, they're all Iger's legacy projects. I'm not that fussed about finishing them any time. I'll let him.
They were his. He was
the
head of theme parks for 6 years, 7 years. Those are his projects. Marvel's Avengers Land was his. Tron is his. Those are all his projects.
Would he have taken the credit for it? No, it would have been more. Iger's pretty much said, I spent the money on this. I spent the money. That's his legacy. So he's not in any. And obviously, clearly, he didn't agree with every single project, which is why he's put stuff on hold. But there's certain things, like the Epcot Pavilion, as much as it is just somewhere where they would be able to hire out, that would have actually elevated the place. And he's gone, no. And it's like, come on, do the maths. You could have booked, you'd think if anything, that would be one of the ones he kept, because you'd think he would have done the maths and gone, all right, how much will it cost to build? How much will we get through conferences? Okay, right.
So much money. So much damn money. And I'm surprised they didn't want to go through with that. But I'm pretty sure we're just going to get something that's a lot less better looking that can also make as much money. I feel like they're just going to cut it and then try to shoehorn as much as they can to shove as many people inside of that they can, so they can still make that amount of money. But now they don't really have to. The pandemic all over the board has just made excuses for every business.
Well, he's let's face it, Chapek's openly admitted that. He's openly admitted that about some of the things that I don't know if we're going to talk about or not talk about, but restructuring APs for both coast of parks. For what else was there? Like Disney Genie, all of that stuff. He's openly gone, well, this was an opportunity for us to and using the words that they use, yield management, make more money, squeeze more money out of everyone. They've used the pandemic as an excuse. They haven't necessarily, it's not, oh my God, I'm sorry, we really couldn't do it because we really weren't making money. They've just used it. They've used it all to their advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Disney thought they
perfect.
could get away with offering less for more money, and to an extent they have gotten away with it. But as always, that will catch up to them.
Yeah, probably in about catch up with them by about June 2025, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I just from the 50th standpoint, to get back to that and the offerings, it was lacking, and people said, "Oh, it was the pandemic." I'm telling people all along, this was the plan. A lot of this, despite the pandemic, they were already going to offer you less and charge you more. They were already going to offer you more merchandise and less rides. This was the plan the whole time.
I kind of feel like you might be right about that, because they decided to put Tron in the most difficult space to build it, with the whole entire railroad problem. So you just don't have to just build a ride. You also have to work around that.
Yeah,
and that's just a whole.
To be fair, that's one of the excuses. Oh, where they had to redirect a canal. No, it took them about 3 months.
Yeah,
I mean, you guys could.
It's as easy as laying concrete in the right place. It wasn't that.
Couldn't it have probably fit right over near where Speedway is? Because they had to move
anywhere.
Speedway.
They have 43 square miles. It could fit anywhere.
It could have been over past it didn't even have to go past the you could go past the train, but you didn't have to build something around it. You could just build a bridge where people have to walk over the train to get to the building.
No,
it's. I don't know. It's.
But here's the thing: the real talk is the way that Disney, the slow way in which Disney build their rides is systemic to how they structure their contracts and everything else. And it took the pandemic to sort of amplify that problem and make it worse. But realistically, any normal business wouldn't necessarily want to take 4 or 5 years to build something. In respect to the quicker you get something built, the quicker you get it open, the more chance you have to earn money. They don't see it like that. They see it. Let's spread the cost of the investment over as many quarters as we can before we open the project, so we're making pure profit by the time it does open.
Yeah, which is shady
Tragic.
accounting, and it's weird. And because of that, the 50th suffered for a lack of offerings. And we did a show, you can go back and listen to it a few shows ago, kind of fantasy booking what we would have done for the 50th, and we went through those ideas. So it's felt like a missed opportunity. J.A., I'm glad you had fun with it. I came down for the 50th, obviously, with my family, and it was a little bit of magic.
And you ain't say nothing to me? You ain't say nothing about nothing? You came down? You did not come down for the 50th weekend.
No, not the weekend. The 50th anniversary, the celebration. It's a year-long celebration, not the weekend. No, you wouldn't catch me dead on the weekend in October. God, no. That was nuts. You had people fighting.
Of the people.
You had people fighting in the Emporium, throwing hands in the Emporium.
I'm telling you, it was like day and night, because over in Epcot, everybody was just in good spirits, and over Magic Kingdom, it's just like Monday Night Raw. It was crazy. It was crazy. I mean, me and Alicia hanged out. Everybody else that I ran into was having a relatively good chill time, and I understood why.
Resellers.
MK was just hell. MK was just throwing hands and trying to get on a ride, maybe.
Oof. Yeah.
Before we just move on, can I ask a question? Did you do an e-ticket report back in the day, talking about your hopes and dreams for the 50th? Was that something that came up in the past?
We maybe did. Disney really, to those of us in the media back then, Disney was really hyping up the 50th. They were telling us, "Oh my God, there's going to be this and this and this." They were pumping this thing up. Everyone and their mom is going to want to come down for the 50th. And year after year, the closer we got to it, I mean, I'm talking 10 years ago. The closer we got to it, they were chipping away. Well, maybe not. They were hedging a lot even before the pandemic.
Well, at one point it was like there was 50 things for the 50th, and that turned into 50 statues, and then the 50 statues actually turned into 50 characters, and then maybe a statue with 3 or 4 characters on that one place. So it's just,
yeah. It's a year of a million broken promises.
Somehow those are one of the few things that turned out okay.
No, I'm not slating them off. I'm just saying it went from 50 projects or 50 realistic tangible things into okay, right, we've just got 50 statues, and then it wasn't 50 statues.
Facts. No, you're right.
And a part that makes literally billions a year and will continue to do so for the next 10, until the 60th anniversary. They could have dropped that cash and it would have still been pennies. It really would have.
I think they could have done a bunch of quality of life things, just small little things here and there that would have been great to see.
Building replacing a monorail rolling stock where the doors don't fall off.
Keeping the trash cans empty. That would be nice.
Quality of life of keeping you on the monorail train without falling off.
I wouldn't say so much quality of life. I mean, bringing back some of the entertainment that has been stripped away over the years. I would have rather seen that, just to kind of, especially on the day of the 50th in Magic Kingdom, given how stripped down and bare that park has been. And it's just a streamlined park till you get your shit and get the fuck out. Like, that's kind of what Magic Kingdom feels like a Walmart. Like, it's the top of what it is. You're going to find what you want, but you're not going to have that pleasant, magical experience, or you're going to get more of like magic in a can. Like, you're going to get magic in a can. That's what you're going to get. I think the thing
with Magic, and I realized this when I was there a couple months ago, Magic Kingdom has so many like pinch points where you're just like, ugh, I'm not going between Small World and Peter Pan. Ugh, I'm not going to that Tomorrowland corridor. I'm not going back by Big Thunder and Splash Mountain. It's got so many like points where just thousands of people get stuck in Liberty Square. It's like I want to avoid the whole freaking park. Just
that's what exactly why I stay away from it.
I mean, and the stuff that I have no interest in, like the entertainment, and let's be honest, like some of the whole why the meet and greets and that aren't back is, to do with unionized workers and agreements where it's like, well, look, this is what we agreed to, which is completely fair enough. I'm not slating those unions for doing that, but some of that is still in existence because of the pandemic. So you can't expect everything to be back to normal just because it feels like it is. And those are the kind of things that would take some of that yucky pressure off of walking around the park, because the people that would congregate in them certain areas that you talked about would not ordinarily be queuing up to meet whatever character or whatever do you know what I mean? So there's still, if you look at the Disney Comeback Index, it's still only about 75%. There's still a lot to come back. There really is. What's number one then, Chris? Come on, because we're nearly there. Home straight.
All right, our last story for the 2021 year in review. Let's get to it. Tommy, what do you think the number one story is? What have we not talked about yet, fellas?
Is it Bob Chapek not getting the chairman job? No? Breaking news?
They're not showing up to Destination D just to be screamed at and yelled at?
A fundamental change to the way you experience Walt Disney World.
A fundamental change in the way that Disney can find ways to take more money out of your wallet.
$15 more out of your wallet. Our number one story this year it came late in the year, like a lot of stories did. Disney Genie / Genie Plus / Lightning Lane / Lightning Lane Plus. Did I miss anything here?
I don't even know anymore.
I mean, I think that's I think this isn't it just like Disney Genie, Disney Genie Plus, Lightning Lane, and then Lightning Lane Plus.
Just saying it.
Has anybody seen like the new South Park special where everything's like Applebee's, Disney's Plus? Target Max. Like everything has a buzzword now. Everything has a plus at the end.
Now, I had the chance to use this system when I was there recently, and I did not. I didn't even use the regular Disney Genie of, hey, try going here, go here. I turned it off. Like, nope, don't need it. I know what I'm doing. Jay, have you used this yet?
I will say,
have you paid the $15?
Oh, fuck that. No, they can suck a dick. I mean, I was really not trying to do that because I know what they're going to do. They're going to inflate wait times, which they have been doing, and rides that I already know are probably going to be fine. I just go on them. The one thing that I do like using it for is reservations, more so for something like Oga's or harder to get reservations where it will tell you exactly if something's open. Like you can open up the board, refresh it, and it will show you something open. Historically, you would have to go to the app, find the restaurant, put in a specific date, and hope that they have it. As opposed to now, it just gives you a time straight up, which I actually like. I like that aspect.
So you like those pre-mixed, watered-down drinks at Oga's, overpriced?
Can you not? Can you not? Can you just? Can you not?
Down.
Come on, dog. I'm living I'm living my Star Wars adventure. I'm out here.
$15 for some fruit punch with a splash of vodka in it.
Hey, oh my gosh! But I also like. I haven't used it yet, but I've been very tempted when I went to go hang out with Tim Grassi and his family. $7 for Space Mountain. I'm like,
isn't it tempting? Isn't it? You're like,
that's a $5 foot long. That's a $5 foot long and 2 Arizona iced teas with
we were
tax.
standing out for the Rise of the Resistance, and I was like, we're not going to be back here for a very long time. Should I just go ahead and?
It's
It's very tempting.
It is. It's like playing Deal or No Deal. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like a game show. That's what it feels like to me.
And Tommy, this was built for you. Someone like you who doesn't visit very often, who wants to get on that ride. Are you going to fork over that money?
Am I going to fork over that money? Are you going to fork off? No, I'm not. Like, no, right. I was, genuinely, because obviously, I'm not. I'm going. My next trip will be 15 or 16 days. It doesn't mean I'm going to spend all of that at Disney at all. But my point is, I have the opportunity that if so-and-so ride has got a long standby queue, I can come back another day. So I can balk and it not be an issue. Ask me at the towards the back end of my trip where I've kind of done Disney and say I still haven't got on rides or one of the ones where I really can't be dealing with waiting 2 hours, then possibly I might. If it's a one-time thing, then I might do that. But honestly, I'd rather pay, which I already pay, $15 a year for my touring plans thing, and let that do a touring plan where I put in the touring plans app what I want to ride, and it gives me a touring plan on the things that I've asked to ride, not 5 or 6 things that I've got no interest in at all. Like I don't need that in my life. I don't need that. Like $15 a year, not $15 a day. Like, do the math
per person. Per
Do you
person.
think
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes,
A touring plan is $15 for a whole family for a year. Like,
Ryan,
why wouldn't you?
You're now at a spot where you don't visit as often, being further away. Is this tempting to you?
Yeah, definitely. I would probably just pay the $15 just to get the lightning lane benefits for the day. But if I'm a local and going several times per month, I'm not doing that, or very rarely. Like if I'm visiting with guests who are there rarely.
That's where we differentiate, though. Obviously, like I've just said to you, I'm doing like a 15-day trip, whereas I assume for you, obviously, you're not going to do that length of stay. Like you're from out of town, but you're not local, so your length of trip is going to be what, 4 days max, maybe, or even less, or what?
Yeah, I would probably stay for a week, go 4 days at Disney, 3 at Universal or something.
Yeah, so if you've essentially got 1 day per park, you haven't got that spare 2 or 3 hours to take your chances in a standby queue that could or could not be overinflated. You'll just go, I'll just, I'll do the old school fast pass or whatever it is.
Right.
Plus not the paid lightning lane.
I'm taking a lot of pictures too. I like spending a lot of my time outside of the attractions, just walking around. So I could go to a park and not do any attractions and spend like 4 or 5 hours and be happy.
Yeah, that's how I am.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't want to wait. I've been on these attractions so many times now. I don't want to wait more than 30 minutes for anything, really. besides Rise, probably.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, I know we obviously all watched the Defunctland video, didn't we?
Oh, of course.
we all
Oh
see
Yeah.
it?
God, so good, so good.
So I mean,
loved
it did
it.
sort of make me think. I'm thinking, oh, well, actually, you know, it was definitely food for thought. But honestly, I still feel like in my heart, certainly with Disney, maybe not so much Universal, but with Disney, I've probably only, for each park, I've probably only got a wish list of not necessarily a massive long list of things that I want to do. And like you said, Ryan, I would, you know, I'd have a wish list of things I wanted to do, and then things that I'm not really fussed about. And then if I spend the rest of my time walking around a park, then so be it. But, you know, I don't necessarily think that even if I did buy into that whole $15 a day, that it would even be worthwhile for me. Because for me as an adult, Disney does not offer me that much that I feel that I need to have all that. Like, you know, my last trip, we had like the, you know, the fast passes that we'd booked and all the rest of it. But towards the sort of the later days, you know, the revisits to the other parks, it was like, well, it was take it or leave it. Like we just kind of wandered around, and then if we saw a short queue, we joined it or whatever, you know, which is why you started getting messages from me, Chris, like, I'm going on It's a Small World, Lord help me. That kind of shit. Like, you know, if I'd paid $15 to do shit like that, I'd be pissed. But, you know.
Yeah. And that's we figured this is what the Disney Genie would do. You would put in "I love thrill rides," and they go, "Oh, go to PhilharMagic." Or now it's even more to an extent. It's like, "Oh, go take a picture next to this wall," or "Oh, go like this is the most go to the bathroom again."
But what was the thing that Touring Plans posted and then promptly took down? What was it? Was it like it was something really trivial, and it was a lightning lane for
Spending like $15 on Rise or something like that after the homie just
No, it wasn't even that. It was like, oh, we've just found that we can. It was
the viewing
area,
viewing for Enchantment. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So
All
you know,
right.
and I was jokingly saying, "Oh, how long before like you get a lightning lane on your way out of the park? Like, you know, so you can jump the front of the queue of the monorail and get the, you know, like how
That's
long before
another
that's
I'm
the
worried
thing?"
about. Yeah. I mean,
half the reason I don't see the fireworks at night with my daughter is because I don't want to wait in that big crush of people to get on a monorail or a boat.
Same.
It's
me, Epcot's a little easier as opposed to Magic Kingdom, because Magic Kingdom, you just have such a far way to go. You have such a far way to go. Even
Sorry,
once you
we lost you there, Jolene.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
But I mean, with Epcot's a little more easier than that. Easy because I can just go straight to the car. But with Magic Kingdom, I feel you. Magic Kingdom, I don't even want to go because I know damn well my feet gonna be tired leaving, and I know there's gonna be no trams too. You got it. Like, yeah, you're right. And you probably won't even get to sit down. If you get on anything, you're going to still be standing up. So no,
I might see a situation where, like Tommy brings up, where Disney might. Again, they do a great job at setting a fire and then playing firefighter, where Disney might monetize that and go, "Oh, we've got a priority bus right here for you. Walk right on to the bus and you
Wasn't
have a
that the mini?
guaranteed seat."
Wasn't that the minivans? Like, I thought the minivans would pull up to MK.
Practically, I mean, they could do it.
Yeah. So here's a question for you then. What would be the most trivial, like, and I'm not talking like the $15, $20 or whatever it might be to ride Rise, but what would be if you really were pushed for time, and like, say for example, in my example, it's my last night in a Disney park, and I'm probably not going to be there for a year or 2 years or whatever. What would be the most trivial thing that you would drop, I don't know, $5 for? Like, I can't think of anything other than maybe if there was a really, really good viewing spot for something like Harmonious.
I think that's it. They're going to monetize those.
If there was like a little something like that, because I know, you know, on my last trip, we got like fast pass for a viewing area for Illuminations because I knew it would be the absolute last time to be able to see that. So I was like, and it was a really good viewing area. And I was like, obviously I didn't pay money for it, but I'm just thinking that it would probably be something like that. If it was really like, you know, if a show was on its way out and I knew it was going to be the last time, and I wanted to see it with really good seats no matter what, I would probably drop
Well,
cash
I
on
wouldn't
it. But
put it past, and this was kind of a thing someone told me about years and years ago that kind of fell off when the tents were a big debacle. But I wouldn't be surprised if Disney starts coming up with something in between like a Club 33 and those VIP tents they used to have, a concierge lounge.
what, like a
inside
sort
each
of
park.
airport lounge sort of vibe?
Yeah, where you can go in and you can
Uh-huh.
sit down, there's air conditioning, get a bottle of water, there's a TV on, and your kids can play with Legos, some shit like that in each park. And they
Don't-
sell you a VIP. You can upgrade your ticket to a VIP ticket, and it's an extra $400, and you get the.
I
little
can see
lounge.
them doing
would-
that.
That would be a
For-
really good idea. Maybe if, like, I don't know, they offer that to pass holders like Universal do.
No, Disney would monetize it like it'd be $400 a day probably.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
The only way that you get a lounge here is DVC. I will say the pyramid is pretty sweet, but it still sucks given the fact
Knock
that you
it
don't.
down. I hate it. I hate
In
that
the
building.
parks though, this would be in the parks, a daily thing when you upgrade your ticket each day to be a VIP, quote unquote, and you get a sticker or a button. And you
I
go
can
we
in the
see
did
them
lounge.
talk about
testing this
we did
out.
talk about that was being floated where it was, you know, it wasn't quite Club 33, but it was like maybe double or triple the most expensive AP price, but then you would get lots of little benefits like that. You know, it was an
Yeah.
idea that was being floated for Paris. I can honestly see people would do something like that if it did include like a lounge and included little bits and bobs like that, which probably have very little monetary value in terms of what it costs Disney to do it, but people would happily end up, you know, doing
Yeah.
a bit of mental gymnastics and going, well, if I pay $1,000 more a year, I'll get one $3 bottle of water every time I visit.
Yeah.
You know,
And maybe you get a lightning lane, like one lightning lane pass for the day to go to
Yeah,
a ride
yeah.
or something like that. Yeah, that type of thing. Yeah.
No,
So,
for
yeah.
me, I mean, what would they call it? Club 16.5? Like, what would they? What would they do?
Oh no, it's got to be one of the words: magic, wish.
Oh
wonder.
yeah, no. You know what?
dream,
Yeah,
magic
no.
ripoff.
Yeah.
No,
Welcome to the
it-
Magic Ripoff Lounge.
Got to be one of the magic words.
It's such a stupid thing. I will like.
That's why it's going to work because it's stupid. It's Disney and it's stupid, so it's got to work. Of course, they'll
I
do
can
it.
see them testing that out on DVC folks first because DVC already is willing to spend that amount of cash, and then go to APs just so they
That's
can
where
create
that's where
that
it gets
whole-
difficult because like they're basically
so many APs.
you know, like DVC basically are, you know, not overpriced AP people, but essentially they, like Disney do owe them because
a
lot.
lot.
you know, and they're the gift that keeps giving, you know, on a year to year
They're
basis.
contractually obligated to. They have to.
which is why they already have
yeah,
the
it's a
lounge.
minefield.
You know what? You're right. It would have to go straight to It would have to go straight to APs. I would offer it to APs first and try to get an extra $1,000 out off of them, and then the lounge is probably going to be like, I don't know, the Tomorrowland Cabanas. Y'all remember that shit? The Tomorrowland Cabanas, where it was just a bunch of tents in the middle of one area and some fans for $100.
All right, let's finish this up. How do you see in the next 12 months? So if we were to have this conversation in December 2022. In the next 12 months, how do you see things panning out with Genie Plus? Chris, you go first.
I think the price is going to go up. I think because we've seen not so much hesitation as we thought. There's been some widespread adoption of it, and Disney is monetizing the hell of it during holiday weeks. So the price will go up probably. It's found money for them. It's pretty cheap to engineer it and to keep it running. So
Do you think that the 30% that he cited on the last earning call is accurate though?
Yeah, but that was a very small sample size. That was like 2 weeks worth of data, though. So
Yeah,
it's a very
yeah,
small
yeah.
sample size before the holidays. Coming up, we have spring break. We have summertime rush. It'll be big. I think it's gonna. They're not gonna take their foot off the gas with this at all.
How about you, Ryan? What do you think? What can you see happening with it?
I think they're gonna increase its presence a lot more. So you'll be seeing a lot more advertising for it in the parks and more marketing for it. It's going to be in your face the whole day, basically. If you know, until they get your money.
You can't have a Disney vacation without Genie Plus.
Yeah, but also probably the cost for each attraction. as the parks get busier naturally, I think the cost for each attraction's individual lightning lane will go up.
Jalen, do you think that if the price goes up a lot, it would benefit the everyday guest? Like, say it went up to, I don't know, $30 a day, or the lightning lane costs went up from $10 to $20. Do you think that would benefit us, like the people that aren't going to spend the money up?
I'd have to see how that pans out. I mean, if you make it something along the lines of like Universal Express, where it's a huge amount of money, compared to somebody who you're basically buying another ticket when you use Universal Express. And also they cut off Universal Express. Disney's not going to cut off Disney. They're not going to cut off Genie once they like at the end of the day, or once they sell a certain amount just for like crowd control. No, they're going to keep giving it out. So I would actually have to see if it does increase in price. I think less people might use it, but people already are going on vacation ready to spend this type of money. And I don't know. You got to just they're going to keep pushing it up until they find that breaking point, and then they might start bringing it down to where the sweet spot is.
They've got to be close.
I suspect that it could well be a one and done though. Like, you go so people like myself, Brits and stuff like that, they've even done a deal for us Brits. I think it's something like $120 per person for the full 14-day ticket. So I can't do the maths right now, but it works out slightly less than $15 a day per person. I am not convinced that once you've used it once, that the overall benefit of the experience is one that you'd go, oh, well, we tried that last time. I can't, I'm not that fast. Let's try it without this time. I can't really see people. I can see the paid lightning lane aspect continuing, but I'm not convinced that it's more than a one and done for most people that use it. I don't think no one so far has sung any praises about it at all. Like, I've not seen a positive review, even from people that aren't necessarily getting into the weeds in terms of like theme park nerdiness and just general, user experience. And I'm talking sort of people like Touring Plans. Yeah, obviously they've got a vested interest, but they have still objectively looked at it. And there's been other people that have gone, well, it's not that great. Like,
but I think it'll be something that it'll be seen widely as something you just have to do, like car insurance. I gotta buy freaking car insurance, and it costs so much money. But if I want this to work, I gotta buy it. So, but I think you're right, Tommy. There is a diminishing returns on this, and that spigot is only going to be turned on for so long because so many people, like my family, have moved to different options. We now this year, 2021, we said, okay, we're going to skip this Disney trip and go to an all-inclusive resort instead in the Dominican, or we're going to go on a cruise instead, like we are twice next year. So that happens a few 100,000 times. It's really going to add up.
All right, well, now we get to the part of the show, I am sorry to tell you, where someone, and I'm not going to say who, because when your e-ticket report for life, but someone hit a button and stopped the recording. We found out immediately. We stopped talking. There wasn't much to discuss left after, 2 hours and 40 minutes of us talking about the year in review for 2021. But this is where the show ends, unfortunately. We apologize, but we will see you all back next year in 2022.